Hey, welcome back to Métropole Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Tuesday afternoon. It is June 17th, 2025. We're already halfway through the month. Where's the time going? How's everyone doing? It was a busy weekend at Netrunner. This weekend there was a bunch of online tournaments. Well, they were in-person tournaments as well, but a lot of stuff going online. We did some streaming. We're not streaming. We did some casting. Other nice people did the streaming, but hopefully y'all are well. This weekend, a lot of stuff going on too. I was reading Tron talking about in chat. For those who don't know, it's like megacity season right now, online megacity, let alone megacities. So a lot of folks are, or Null Signal Games is putting on online megacities that you can participate in. So they're online tournaments on Shiteki.net. And this weekend is APAX. So it's a time zone that probably doesn't make a lot of sense for me. If you're on the West Coast of the Americas, that makes sense. Or obviously if you're in APAC, but that's this weekend as well if you want to dive in. Hey, Dan Fuhrer, how's it going? Hey, GM, good morning, I think. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Hey, Andre, hey, Chad, hey, Roshni, how you doing? Good morning, stream. Good morning, Grendel. Scourge of the Continent. So hyped for my boy, Seb K. Hey, Jai, I know you were in chat giving Seb K a lot of support. I didn't get to see a lot of Seb K play. I think Seb K's decks were quite interesting. Seb K is usually a pretty wild deck builder. I think the stuff that we saw on the weekend at Pittsburgh was like relatively calm, I think. It wasn't too spicy. West Coasters should come to Vancouver for the Megacity experience. Oh my god, yeah, that too. It's the 22nd and 23rd. It is the Mega City in Vancouver as well, and they have some ridiculously good prize support. I believe that's being streamed. Alec has been working on it, or at least recorded. I don't know, Joe, do you know if or where that's going to be? If it's on the Rain City Twitch channel or something like that? Hey, Funky Man, thanks Andre for casting Pittsburgh. Really appreciate such a fun time. Yeah, it was a really great thing to be joining in on. We were reached out to by London a while ago saying like, hey, do you want to do a couple rounds of commentary? So I got to do commentary. If you want to check out the Pittsburgh Mega City, it was 22 people, like almost 24 folks. So it wasn't the biggest tournament on the weekend, but it's still like great Netrunner to watch. And it was all live streamed for the first time on Steel City Grid, which I'll throw the link into chat if you don't have it. You can go watch that. They also have been uploading videos. These are from the old meta, so this is before rotation. Oh, is my screen is like kind of jumping around a bit, but I don't think the stream is capturing it. But this stuff is all recorded. This is pre-elevation, if I'm not mistaken, so it's still interesting for sure. But you can watch both the Mega City Day 1 and Day 2, or the top cut, on the stream. And we did casting for the first couple rounds of those. We'll talk about that in a second, talk about the meta, because it's fascinating. Funky Man, we got to see a lot of your gameplay on channel, on stream. I think I was a bit harsh towards your commentary of the Shaper playstyle of like just sending deep dive, but it's definitely working and like really well done to your finish for sure. But they were fun matches to watch. We got to see a bunch of Atea as well, and I think Atea overall did all right at the event, but I don't think we saw Atea do anything great on stream. I think we got to see 2 Atea games in a row where Atea just drew like in their first hand like a dozen upgrades and like no ice that ends the run, and it was just kind of rough. But Atea seems to be doing well, as much as we didn't see it. 100% win rate in the cut. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. It was some really weird results. Gonna be streams, still working on exactly which channel. Okay. If you can let me know, or Alec probably will, I reckon. We'll be able to share that. We catch up. Ryan, I tried playing the Tempo Crimes Op list of my locals last week. It was so much fun. Which one, Ryan? Last week, Tempo Crimes Op. I don't know which one that would be exactly. We're gonna be playing some Op today, and we're gonna be playing Augie's that was just posted, and it looks really cool. It is just like scoring Op. Shout out to anybody who uploads replays to their Netrunner DB deck list of the week and attaches replays. It is literally the coolest thing you can do. Like, I don't care if you do no write-up. If it's just a string of replays, that's better than a write-up for me. I might not be everybody, but yeah, some really wild replays. There's like turn 7 scoring out gameplays that have like really cool forks, which is great. So we're gonna be playing a bit of that deck, because that deck looks really fun and has some like very powerful cards from Elevation that don't seem to have found a slot, and Ob is like making them work out really well. Hey Dron, think I've got some fire for APAC. Otherwise, shipment from Cologne is on Sunday, I think, and that's an Eternal tournament. I'm grasping at straws for Eternal, more like a pile of 200 straws. Night before Christmas meta, it's all red and green but horrifying. How's it going, droids? Yeah, the meta is weird. I think the meta from both Steel City and of course it was the America's Mega City online that No Signal Games ran, which had about twice as many players. The top cut meta is like pretty rough, if you ask me. A lot of people want different things in their metas and their top cut metas. I think homogeneity is one of the issues coming up right now, but also all the decks are like really horrific in terms of their game plans and the contempt they have for the runner, which like, I don't know. I don't think we saw a lot of scoring corps at Americas. Love the grid, but please say we're not doing grinder op. We're not doing grinder op. We're gonna do scoring op. Hey Grit Tim, hey Lazy. Spiral Shadow, you start with Naughty Gang again. I don't know what that means. How you doing? Eternal tournament, woo. Hey Warlock. Yeah, this Sunday. So I don't know too much about this because I'm not super plugged into Eternal, but because what's it called? The Continentals in Europe, the EMEA Continentals is happening in Cologne. The nice folks in Europe are running one of these shipment to Cologne. So last year was shipment to EMEA. There was multiple tournaments in which money was being raised to help people afford to go to that was Bergamo last year. And so this is Cologne in Germany. Little Netrunner logo attached there, which is good fun. Maybe that has to be photoshopped. Yeah, for sure. And so this is gonna be an Eternal tournament, which is like interesting because Eternal has a pretty fresh meta. As much as Eternal Super League happened earlier this year, that was before Elevation. Not that rotation really helps Eternal. There was a change of the ban list, or the points list more accurately. There's some really nice prize support too. This is from Elisar. This is the SMC. Very nice. Basically a redraw of the original art if you're not familiar with it from FFG. And then there's a price that I think I saw on the weekend. People were playing this in their decks online, but I haven't seen this anywhere else. This is a Brindlemold price. Very nice. And then yeah, it's gonna be some Eternal, which is good fun. The card back for this is absolute fire. I haven't been touching card backs. I think I've unlocked 1 or 2 card backs, maybe 1 card back on GameNET. But for those who don't know, just like Microsoft Solitaire, you're allowed to pick your card back, and it tells a lot about your personality. It's like the Fortnite skin of Netrunner modernly. And now tournaments are being able to attach card backs as part of their prize support, as long as they like, I think, communicate with the nice folks running GameNET. So I don't know what the card back for this is. I'm trying not to use card backs when I'm making content, just on the basis that it's confusing maybe. So I generally don't like participate in alt arts or card backs, but I do think it's a very compelling prize for sure. Sign up, price by Brindlemold, top cut SMC, top half, Eternal specific alt not yet revealed, winner one of kind playmat not yet revealed, price JNet card back. Oh, so it's this card back, probably full art. That's pretty sick. That's very striking. That's really cool. Is that a Wingspan and SMC? No, this is like, so LSR does a lot of art that is this sort of like watercolor. It's really quite nice, but this is just like a repainting. You don't actually see a lot of times art like this, which is, I don't even know if reverent is the right word, but basically just a redrawing of the original art. So this is the original SMC, and so it's just a watercolor of this SMC, which this is a great art. Shout out to Lily Ibrahim. And this is also a really nice watercolor version of it. But it is just the same art, just a very nice version of it. Hey, Diogen, got to listen to the King podcast, and there's a very interesting exchange about cash reward tournaments. Any thoughts about the subject? I haven't listened to episode 3, which came out today. I think it's labeled to be something about food. What do I think about cash tournaments? I don't think we're allowed to have cash tournaments locally in Quebec. I think a lot of stores don't want to participate in them because there's different rules when it comes to playing for prize money. That being said, there are events that play for prize money. Like you can go to a Flesh and Blood big tournaments and they have prize support and stuff like that. Or Magic plays in Montreal. Montreal is like not an unknown destination for big stakes card game, money game stuff. I generally don't like it. I don't know. I feel like there's some, we talked a bit about this last week. I feel like there's some hesitation, some apprehension that attaching prize money will attract a different mood to the game. And this game like is pretty notable that people, you know, travel if they can afford to travel and go to places and compete for basically, you know, cardboard cards, like alt arts for like mouse pads and just kind of good vibes. Like the title, the pride, pushing yourself. Like it feels like a lot of the rewards for Netrunner are kind of intrinsic that Netrunner is kind of a good game. And I think people are a bit worried that once you attach like financial incentives to it, it can change the mood of like takebacks and all that sort of stuff. From what I've heard, that hasn't been a lot of evidence that that's the case. There was a money tournament 2 weeks ago or so at OTG that had like a $500 cash prize support, American. But there was tournaments back in the day, back in FFG's reign, that were cash prize supports. There were people that had strong opinions and a lot of people who decided not to go to those events because they didn't like that sort of vibe. And I kind of get it. I feel like I fall into that camp. Like, I don't think I'd be excited to go to cash prize events. I think people who are going to cash prize event have to just think of it as like, oh, you're paying your money and you're going to lose that money, right? Like it's not gambling. That's just kind of your ticket entry. I think it's abstractly cool that you can make incentives that make it easier for people to travel. If traveling to a card game is expensive for you, then ideally, if you can make some money back by performing, that sounds like a thing that opens up gates to people. But the way that these cash prizes have been like relatively small amounts in terms of traveling, let alone are generally only for the first place players. So it's not even sustainable for like more than one person. So overall, I will never run a cash prize thing. Like if that's the answer, like that's just not for me. And I just understand how people are apprehensive about it, and I don't think I'd like support it, but I do think so far the evidence has shown that it hasn't really affected the tone and caliber and kind of like good faith that comes in regular Netrunner game. Is FFG Worlds not a cash prize event? No, never been. FFG Worlds is you pay money for your ticket, you get your some prize support, you get usually a playmat, and the winner just wins the title, a plaque, and that's it, and a one of playmat as well. But no time has FFG ever given money. The only thing closest to money is sometimes FFG will like waive ticket prices and sometimes accommodation in flights to come to different events. I forget what the schema was, but I do think if you won certain tier events, you could win a ticket to Worlds. And I don't know if that was an airplane ticket. I don't know if that was stay at the hotel. I might be totally misremembering it, but at no point in time has anyone left an FFG Netrunner tournament with a check or cash. NSG sanctioned events are cash prize. No NSG sanctioned cash. Oh yeah, NSG obviously like has never touched this and probably never will. I'd be very surprised if they ever do. Hey D, I would say pretty much every cash reward tournament I've been to or heard about has caused pretty bad vibes. Oh, I've not heard that. I've heard the opposite. But I also think TOs should be empowered to make tournaments exciting, and I kind of have way too many mouse pads at that point. So I'm excited folks are trying to find ways to make things exciting for the folks with way too many prizes. Yeah, it's true. Like a lot of the more entrenched players who maybe have played for a long time, this happens at a casual level too, where it's like, oh, there we have prize support, we have a playmat, we have this. And a lot of times players who've either played at other tournaments, so they have that prize support, or just don't care for their, unfortunately, the rich now have their like 30th playmat. They're just like, ah, it's okay, raffle it down or pass it down. And that's nice. But yeah, there may be something, but I just think like, I think at this point, a lot of entrenched players are going to Worlds so they can win Worlds, so they can have that on their like, you know, personal resume or whatever. That's the appeal. Let alone going to Worlds is just like a fun social thing more than it is for a lot of people a competitive event. For the majority of people, it's just a cool social thing for sure. How's your belly? Not good. It's better than it's been, but not great. I have the closest we get an appointment with a gastroenterologist is next week, so I have to survive another week. It's still been bloated and uncomfortable and weird. I don't think I've been eating enough. I've cut out gluten to try that, and so far my stomach has been better. That could just be because time, but I've been like eating different things and like trying to keep it simple. I don't think I'm eating enough. I feel weak and unfocused, and like that's not been good. So I'm really looking forward to a week from now, but it's not been the worst, but it's not been good. So in the middle. What do you need your hot takes on hummus and ginger? Do we need your hot takes on hummus and ginger? Hummus. I feel like chickpeas can be pretty heavy on my stomach. Ginger's pretty good. I don't know in context though. Quebec has some special rules where it comes to gaming prizes. That's what I've heard. I haven't looked into them, but I remember at places people were trying to organize some of these cash prizes circa like 2017 and 2018. And every store said, we are uncomfortable doing this because eventually you have to like contact the gambling authorities and lotto and stuff like that. Hey Joel, how you doing? Axu made what I thought was an interesting point about cash prizes, that most people won't win, so many people are just paying top players to lose to them. Yeah, but that's like, this sentiment comes across a lot of games like that. Like, so poker, for instance, a lot of times poker is played for money. And a lot of people think that poker is not interesting unless you play for money. I have a lot of friends who play poker like that. And it doesn't have to be big money, but the idea is that if poker has no stakes, is it inherently fun? And I've heard no from some people, which is such a weird take. I'm not a big poker fan. I barely play poker. I know the rules. That's it. But like at the end of the day, poker is a zero-sum game. And so like it is in your interest if you're going to a poker tournament to bring in players who you think you can just take money away from them. And that vibe has never sat well with me, that like this is a zero-sum game. Your goal is to like take money off of people. Ideally, they traded their time and their money for fun and an experience. I think that view of like you're just trying to farm them is like super pessimistic. But yeah, to some extent. But like I do think at the end of the day, you were paying to go to an event. And generally if I pay like $20 to go to an Netrunner event, I'm not assuming the $20 goes straight to the person winning the supposed cash prize, but some of it has to go to the organizer, the space, the time, the prize support, all this sort of other stuff that happens. And then some portion of that gets invested into a cash surprise, I imagine. I know for OTG specifically, like I think Orbs just dropped the money, be like, I'm supporting this, I'm putting my money on the line. I don't know if it was organizer money as opposed to like ticket money. I think it was just like somebody's money. Hey Damian, how's it going? I want to be watching the stream later, but wanted to ask, why don't more people play GameNet? It's one of the rarest IDs in my experience. Oh, vibes. It's kind of vibes. So there was a while that GameNet was really good. The problem is like GameNet is a sort of identity that I think Null Signal Games would like us all to forget about. And I think a lot of players would like us all to forget about. It's not very interesting. It kind of disincentivizes interaction. It classically was very good, but when the meta that this was very good, the games were like an hour and a half. It was very slow, very grindy Netrunner. It plays massive Hyper Glacier. It scores out its points like really late in the game. It's building 4 ice towers. It's like very ugly. It also got a lot worse with time. Not only did we get Gold Farmer banned out, which was just a busted card. Like Gold Farmer is already a cracked card, but then context of GameNet, it's even worse. But I also think overall that GameNet got worse with rotations and losing FFG cards because Trace, which is a very rare mechanic, especially on ice. Well, it's mostly showing up on ice modernly. But Trace on ice was really good for GameNet because that was a way for runners to spend credits. And a lot of the cards pool just doesn't support GameNet. I think overall GameNet is like a cool theme, but mechanically has been one of the most uninteresting identities. And we're at a point where if people can forget GameNet exists, I think the game overall is healthier. I don't think there's a big reason to play GameNet. 17 Influence is cool, but you can probably play the same deck out of anything else. It's yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of other ones like Slot Machine also got banned. This card a lot of times wasn't worth breaking, so if the runner lost 3 credits, you gained a credit. That one was messed up. Radiance calling out Bologna as well. This one was also really good in GameNet. Like all these cards that came around GameNet, a lot of them got banned. And that just shows you the power of GameNet maybe back in the day, but also just the abstract power of these cards individually. A lot of these cards, like this card was low influence, and people were even splashing Gold Farmer for like 3 influence, which I never fully understood, but it turns out it was really good, really good. Anyways, that's why we don't play GameNet. We want to forget that GameNet exists. It's classically one of the slowest, most uninteresting games in Netrunner you can play. I already got the greatest possible prize at Worlds. Asterix. D, I have no doubt you got great prizes at Worlds. I wonder what that one is. Don't forget the greatest prize in gaming, to design a card. Yeah, that's a good one. For what it's worth, like, I think having a likeness or the ability to design a card that will be like part of Netrunner globally, even if people don't know who you are or all that sort of stuff, that is the most compelling prize for sure. Like I think any year that I don't participate in Worlds, and it's like not very likely I'm gonna win Worlds, let's be honest. That prize is like the coolest prize by a mile. I think that is worth a lot more than money to a lot of people, for sure. Love getting playmats, love getting them always as prizing for G&Ks and side events. Yeah, that is a big thing. I think my old playmat collection just gets like slowly fed into like local tournaments. There's also standard shipment JNet tournament on Sunday, and Nebula False Lead and Align deck won first place. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's not surprising. Well, sort of actually. I don't know how you feel about that deck. It feels like it's a very powerful deck that does some unfair stuff, but it's not doing well in a lot of open fields, like bigger fields. Just watching your Crash Base video from yesterday. Joel enjoyed 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's a really good game, though. I do think there was a couple turns I could have played a bit faster. A lot of times, I don't know, Tron, usually negative sum. Hey, Lost My Thumbs, how's it going? Thanks so much for supporting the channel. Just played in my first online tournament this weekend and ended up the highest crim running as. Oh, you were the top crim at Americas. It was like the top place in crim at Americas, of which there was not a lot of sables for some reason. Very surprising. And we'll look at the results. But the top crim, no crim made top 8. I think the top crim was like 14th or 15th, and it was an Az deck. Firstly, congratulations. We'll look at those results. That's pretty sick. Secondly, again, thanks so much for supporting the channel on Patreon. I just got the message, I feel like last night, maybe? Just need to know enough poker to play Blotcher. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Or like Doomtown, really. Hey, Daniel, speaking of bringing in weaker players, what recommendations do you have for brand new players to get into more games? The jump to standard from core startup is daunting. What are your thoughts? It's a good question, and it's obviously a difficult question, but right now in the meta, it is, okay, caveats attached to this, but the card pool is the smallest it's ever been in standard since like 2012, 2013. So it is the easiest jump if you ask me. A lot of system gateway is kind of core to standard right now. Elevation is also being the case, but if you play startup, there's only like 240 cards you don't know. Because if you play startup, the only cards you don't know are Ashes, and you don't know the Borealis cycle. 240 sounds like a lot, but when it comes to each faction by faction, that only represents like maybe a dozen cards. So if you play Wayland, learning a dozen more cards, it might not be that hard, and I would recommend starting there, picking a faction you like, and saying like, oh wait, when I play Wayland in a standard, instead of struggling for a kill option, now I also have end of the line, and that's enough to make you excited to build a Bangoon deck and try and figure out stuff like that. So I would recommend faction by faction. I highly recommend net decking. This is something a lot of people have strong opinions about, and sometimes hard to like kind of get this. It's hard to kind of encourage people to do this, because a lot of people think as soon as you play someone else's deck, you're sacrificing so much like personal freedom and like expression, and it's selling out to some extent. But I think one of the best things you can do to learn a meta, let alone to get better at a game if you're getting into it, Netrunner is really difficult to play, but it's also difficult to deck build, and making sure you're taking like a good deck. It doesn't have to be a tournament winning deck, but just a deck that a player who's been playing the game for a while, who understands the format, understands deck building, puts out a deck and says, this is a deck that works. If you can play that, it allows you to focus on better play, and then by playing that deck, you realize what Netrunner should play like, what it should feel like, and it helps you become a better deck builder in the future. I find it very hard. Sorry, this might not be answering your question exactly, but I find it very, very difficult to try to learn to be a deck builder while you're also not particularly good at the game. A lot of people want to do that, and it just makes no sense. Figure out how to play the game first, and then you can figure out how to be a good deck builder. Regardless, that's what I would recommend. It's like finding out a deck online, finding out what faction, and focusing on that and jumping in. Honestly, I'm not a great current content creator at helping people get into the game when it comes into standard right now. Content creation on this channel has mostly been live streams. Things have been a bit ugly on this channel for a bit. A lot of people are posting deck lists. The caveat I kind of wanted to dance around earlier is right now the standard competitive meta, it's a bit gross. It's like not super friendly. There's a lot of kill combo decks. There's a lot of these like orthogonal decks that are doing something mean that you probably haven't seen or been prepared for. There's not a lot of Netrunner that probably plays out to like how System Gateway plays out. And that's sometimes for the best, and sometimes it's for the worst. Sometimes it's really cool because you're like, oh wait, I can build a corp deck that like spams assets and does like a cool damage combo trick with like complete image and touch-ups. And like that can be really compelling, but also it's pretty frightening because if you don't bring a good stuff to a standard deck and you play against someone playing a tier 1 competitive deck, sometimes it feels like you don't have a game on your hand. So I think that part will be addressed eventually with ban lists of the next little while. But what I would recommend if you want to dive in is to pick a faction you like and then do some research on Netrunner DB. If you want to keep it simple, like you can just do search for a deck list, find cards you want, find packs that you have if you really want to filter this here. But I would just grab something and start playing. I think going to was it brand new players to get more into games? I think playing on JNet, if you're comfortable with that, it's a really easy way to get into a lot of games quickly and iterate and test and make changes. I think playing in person is just the coolest thing, and it makes communities excited. So if you have a local play group, I would recommend going out. Even if you're a player who doesn't have any proxies, or you don't have any cards, going out to your local play group, say your casual Tuesdays, and just showing up there being like, I'm a newer player, and asking people, can I play your deck? So you don't have to do any deck building. You can just play their corp deck versus their runner deck. And that's a nice way also to learn quickly, see what more cards do. You'll lose a lot of games more often than not, for sure. But just getting in, I think, helps a heck of a lot like that. That was all over the place, but that's my rambling thoughts for now. I think it is the smallest format jump, if you're in startup to standard, is the smallest it's ever been. I'd recommend a lot of people, unfortunately, to jump straight from core to standard, because the jump is not that big. That's for sure. Cash prizes equals capitalism. We should set up a socialist player fund instead. I mean, like, I kind of agree with you. I think Orbs did put up the pot, which is super cool. Yeah. I played a fast GameNet, but that's because I only ran it for 17 influence, so I can kill. Hey, you don't know me. I'd be surprised if that is like more consistent than like playing, what's it called? We don't have any 17 influence NBNs anymore. We used to have NEH, but I would assume you can play Nebula and do something pretty similar. Hey, Radiant. It's so rare when I got my Ashes boxes, I saw GameNet for the first time and just assumed it was banned. It's technically not banned. I think a lot of people assume that because a lot of the key pieces have been banned, but yeah, it just was never a great place to be in. Side games are cool ways to make the runner spend money out of traces. Yes, and we don't have a lot of those. There was a minute where people were playing Upa Yoga, if I'm not mistaken, in GameNet decks because it did fire the ability. Or was it one of the other ones? I forget. But like, there's just not a lot of side game stuff. Gold Farmer could be unbanned. Fight me. Probably not. And at the end of the day, should it? Right? Like, do you really want to give Gold Farmer to Nebula and you have to break this for 4 credits that they res for 3? Otherwise, it's just a hard end to run. Like, does that make the game more interesting? No, I really don't think so. And I'm really worried about like Nebula in the future. If you keep printing good NBN ice, like, oh my God, Nebula. 17 is to run 4 Wayland kill cards and play it on tempo to snipe Ashen and others. Honestly, being GameNet just means people run against me less than I set up more. It's just not fun in that sense. Yeah, I would say not fun is also a big part of GameNet. I don't think either side of the table is particularly fun. Either your ability doesn't fire because they don't run, or they don't run, they don't have fun. I don't know. Yo, Alec, I did. Please shield Vancouver Megacity. What's this being streamed on? Do we know yet? So wild for me that there was like no criminal online megas, but like 50% crim at Pittsburgh. Yes. Very, very weird. I don't know why criminal was so underrepresented in Americas. Not sure why. I think people just want to play Hoshiko. Doomtown, I love that game, but can't get people to play it. It's a really good game. It's really, really good. It's really hard to pick up cards in Canada, unfortunately. Finally getting my commander friends kind of sorted into kitchen table Netrunner exciting times. Yo, enjoy SRN. I think Netrunners are really, like, people who play other board games or card games, if you show them Netrunner, they pretty easily understand why it is so cool, especially if they come from a Magic background. Besides Wayland, what runner faction do you recommend? One of my favorite factions to teach newer players, Daniel, is just Good Stuff Criminal. So this is probably a good list. Yeah, just play this. It's that simple. Good Stuff Criminal is fantastic because it is the faction that wants you to be aggressive. It wants you to touch cards and it wants you to run. And a lot of times runners, early Netrunner players, are a bit apprehensive. They don't face check into ice. They don't force reses, and they want to set up and they want to play a bit too passively. And the more aggressive you are, the more the corporation has to play your game as opposed to play their game. And inherently, that's a good thing to do. There's a video on this channel of a replay review called Leading the Dance. That's the sort of idea. Who is responding to who is the biggest thing in a Netrunner narrative of the game. And so anytime you find just a Good Stuff Criminal deck, they're generally pretty smooth, pretty easy to play. They are a bit of a higher skill cap than some. Like some Hoshiko decks are just like value bombs, but these decks have a lot of money. They want you to touch stuff. They have multi-axis, which is really good. So you're not trying to win off of singles, which is fantastic. They're very smooth. They're very fun. The things that new players struggle with is they only have one of each breaker usually. So if you're losing breakers to program subroutines or damage, you're going to have to learn to like protect them, pre-install them, stuff like that. You can find criminal lists online that are running 2 of each breaker for a bit of safety. I don't think that's super uncommon in the modern meta, but just playing run-based criminal is really, really fun and lets you focus on some of the basic questions that make you a better Netrunner player, such as where are the agendas? And that is just such a fun question. Understanding when you should be dumping the twinning into which server, where your pressure, how do they play around transfer wealth, just huge, really, really fun. It's been the same deck functionally for like, for better, for worse, 12 years or whatever, but Good Stuff Criminal is really good. Play Crim is the best at teaching you how to play. Crim is blue. Crim is blue. The one with the skull. Sorry to interrupt, but what does net decking mean? A little slow on my part. Oh, it just means grabbing a deck that's been posted online. So basically playing something else somebody else has published. NetDeck from the online internet, I reckon. But really good. Yeah, copy deck from online. Love to see Andre tempering his anti-kill sentiments. I mean, sometimes kill is cool. Like, a lot of players like kill. Like, I'll be honest, my early Netrunner, like, competitive career or organized play career, if you want to call it that, like, I played the heck out of Personal Evolution, and I enjoyed it. Like, I had a great time because of it. At the end of the day, would I recommend it to everyone? No, but, like, I played the heck out of, like, Mushin PE, and I had a great time. It was one of the few ways that I could beat better players. And was that important to me? Yeah, probably. But, like, yeah, kill decks are cool. Flatlining is fun. I think flatlining is a very exciting part of this game as a newer player. And then once you become more jaded and you just want to play PD fundamentals like 12 years in, like then it changes. But yeah, no, like flatline decks are fun. People enjoy playing them. Some people enjoy losing to them. Not always. I have a local that plays on Thursdays. I might go this week in SF. Oh, yo, Daniel, there's a lot of people playing in SF. You'll have no problem finding some nice folks. I know I went to one of the locals in SF and it was at an Irish Indian pub. Great vibe, great people. Food was good too. So if you haven't gone to that one, definitely go to that one. It's quite nice. I forget the name of the pub, but it was an Irish Indian pub. There can't be that many of those. Core startup is doubling the card pool. Startup to standard is about the same. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a weird way to look at it. But yeah, Corda adds 120, which is about double. And then, yeah, I guess you keep doubling to some extent. I'm bad at being the deck provider for noobs right now. My runners are Knife Baz and Kako Padma. My corps are Barf Thule and Bangan. Yeah, I don't understand tracing in standard Winchester. I watched you play a bit last week and you were playing Winchester and quickly saying, just the last one and clicking quickly. Oh yeah, okay, good question. So trace is a thing that's been in Netrunner since 1996. It works slightly different in the 90s. Then when FFG rebooted, it works slightly different. This is the way that tracing currently works. It's worth knowing that Null Signal Games hasn't printed a trace card since Ashes, which I think was 2019, 2020. And they've largely deprecated the mechanic, as much as there are like 3 cards in the format that still trace. The reason why I didn't fire the first subroutines, and I said just fire the last one, is the first subroutines trashes an installed program. My opponent didn't have any programs, so this was just not worth our time. And they didn't have any installed hardware, so this was not worth our time. In theory, if they had or didn't have a program, you'd have to fire this trace, and then based off of how the trace goes, which I'll explain in a second, you trash a program, and same for the hardware. The thing is, if there's no hardware, no programs, you're just clicking a bunch of buttons on JNet being like, skip, 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 skip. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care. And we just skip that process by just saying, this is the only one that matters because this was going to end the run. And that always matters on every run. How trace works, really quick talk. Each trace has a number next to it. This is the base link of the trace, or the base strength of the trace is the term. So this is a trace of 4. Now, once this trace initiates, the corporation right now can spend credits linearly 1 credit for 1 boost of strength to make this number as big as they choose to or afford to. So that means a lot of times you won't boost. So say I'll boost 0 and this trace will remain at 4, or say I spend 3 credits, this will go up to 5, 6, 7, it's trace 7. Once I have finally spent all the credits that I choose to, I pass it over to the runner and I'll have no more say in this trace. And now that runner understands the total strength of the trace. So say that we boosted it for 3 credits, so that's trace 7. All the runner needs to do is tie that trace or exceed that trace if they want to for some reason. But if they just tie that trace, the trace will not be successful. If the trace is higher than the runner's link, the trace succeeds. So basically what it is in mechanics is the corporation is trying to figure out where the runner is, and the runner can spend money to evade that process. Now, every runner has base link. So let's look at a modern runner. Let's look at Phoenix. And Phoenix, in its top left corner, you'll notice this symbol here. This is 0 and 2 boxes. That's the link symbol, which means that every trace that initiates against Rio, he will have 0 link. Now, they can, just like a corporation at this point in time, spend 1 credit for 1 trace strength, and that will boost into this trace. So if the trace 7 is coming across, Phoenix needs to spend 7 credits to tie or exceed that trace. So I spent 3 to make 4 plus 3 is 7. It goes back to Phoenix. Phoenix starts at 0 because their base link is 0. And just to show, there are some old Ashes cycle runners that have base link of 1. Mind you, this is slightly bigger in the old cards. It's less important than it's ever been, so they just put it smaller recently. But Lat will start at 1, and then if Lat wants to exceed or tie the trace, they would have to spend 6 credits. So Lat would have to spend 6 credits to tie and make that trace not successful. It is basically just a money war in which the corporation starts with a certain amount of money. They can pay to boost that. Then it goes to the runner. The runner starts with an amount of link, and then they can pay to boost that. Once the runner pays, that's it. The trace either succeeds or doesn't succeed. And what the trace does is totally dependent on the card. Each card will have different text based off of what the trace does. If it succeeds, if it doesn't succeed, some weird ones just do an effect no matter what because FFG messed up the formatting. But that's not common. There are cards that give you base link as well. You can find them. I think there's only one in the format right now. So what's the name of the bird? The Cyber Trooper. Like there's some weird cards that don't make a lot of sense that give you base link. So the more of these you tack down to the table, that'll just increase your base link. So now technically if Lat has base link, plays a Cyber Trooper that has 2 base link, every trace Lat will start at 2. So 2 versus 7 or 2 versus 4, you only spend 2 credits to beat the 2 versus 4. That's all it is. It is just a money war, and it leverages credits. This used to be key to Netrunner, as the original core set had cards that were super important, like C-Source, that says if the runner has ran trace 3, if successful, give the runner 1 tag. So functionally, the runner just had to have more money than the corporation. Otherwise, the corporation could just dunk all their credits and give the runner a tag. Now that's interesting because the corporation ends up spending like 7 credits on the trace. The runner spends 0 because they know they can't beat it, but then the runner has a tag and that can be a problem. So trace was attached to a lot of different things in the game. One of the most important trace cards that just rotated out of the last format was Punitive Counterstrike, that said you can only play it if the runner stole agendas on their last turn, and was trace 5 to do meat damage based off of how many points they stole on their last turn. So if you had more money than the runner, you could just brute force economically to give the runner a lot of meat damage and flatline them. That's all the traces. It barely exists. It's on 3 cards. 2 of them are ice. The reason why we skipped the first and second was because the subroutines just didn't do anything. So I would be trace 3, no boost. It would go to the runner. The runner would say, okay, 0 base length, no boost. Trace 3 versus 0 succeeds. Trash a program. There are no programs. Do the hardware. Same. It just skips it. Doesn't matter. Very confusing. It's like very little. It's part of standard because Winchester is by far the most common trace card in the format. But yeah, learning a whole new mechanic just for like 3 cards kind of sucks. But it's been key to Netrunner for a long time. Hey Mexim, being aggressive as the runner is so hard as a new player, especially after getting MR and the line a couple times. I agree to some extent for sure. I think measured response changes it. I think that's the sort of card that is going to have growing pains for newer players for sure. I probably should read through, but I got a comment on, I think it was the tier list video, where a player was saying like, hey Andre, I've been listening to your advice to face check more aggressively, and it's losing me games. I'm losing programs, I'm taking net damage, I'm taking tags, and I'm just dying. A lot of my local players say I should not be as aggressive. What's the deal? And I gave a more holistic response that in each matchup, how you should be aggressive really does depend on some more context. The base rule, I would say, is be aggressive, lose a couple games, and then you'll kind of build your own muscle memory and your own like threat assessment and your risk assessment that you're comfortable with. But there are certain matchups and certain factions in which you have to be a bit more careful. For instance, against Jinteki, almost all their ice does net damage, and Sai Santan is still like, I find kind of egregious. This can just do 6 net damage, so you almost always want to face check with your killer while running into Jinteki. At a minimum, if you're running into Jinteki, you should always have at least 3 cards in hand regardless, because there's a bunch of Jinteki stuff that does at least 3 net damage to you in different ways that delivers damage. But at a Jinteki is the one that like face check with a killer, because that's going to be a problem. Against NBN, you can face check freely if you want to, just make sure you're not doing it last click, because a lot of their ice gives you tags, and if you don't have clicks to destroy tags or remove tags, that's a problem. As a basic rule as a newer player, don't run last click. You want to be face checking on click 1 or 2, almost never face check on click 3, almost never face check on click 4. That is also a rule that will help, that should be attached to the prior rules. Then Wayland, a lot of Wayland ice destroys things, so I generally don't install my programs. A lot of stuff either ends the run or trashes programs. If you don't install your programs, the ice doesn't do anything, so that's pretty good. Talking about Winchester, for instance, this thing trashes hardware programs, so I'm really happy to just face check on turn 1 into HQ before installing stuff to see what's up. And a lot of times they won't res because it's a bad res. And then HB is like, just don't run last click, because if you run earlier in the turn, you can click through Byroids. That's super important. And if you run last click, they can install things usually with their ice. So things like Drafter can install an agenda on the table if you ran last click and it fires, and that's bad because then they have an agenda on the table. Or if you run into like Scatterfield, they can install an agenda on the table. So against HB, you want to be running sooner in the turn than later. PD with Sysentine is a thing now. I haven't seen it. I've seen PD with measured response. It's now just PD fundamentals and honesty for me. That Iswag deck being featured got me to play an honest fast deck. I'm excited to play the Iswag deck. I want to see. Any cat sightings today? No, she's asleep. How's it going? Scrub. Flatlining is fun. This is solid advice to the runner side. Hey, Spendrick, just finished watching the Venom Goblin. How much do you miss that dude? Congrats. I felt so good when it was finished. It took me 6 hours of recording that day. And I was so hungry at the end because I was like, this will be done soon. And it was getting warmer and warmer in the room because I put the AC down. Glad you watched it. There was like a really hype moment in that game. And I don't think I celebrated enough, where we top decked the perfect card for the situation. I think we did it twice. Hey, Sea Beast. Good to catch you live after a long day of work. Enjoy your evening. How cursed would it be to get a corp card that turned traces back to blind bid, maybe an ID? It'd be weird. We did have the one corp card that said runners trace first. It wasn't particularly good, but it was weird. It was interesting. Blind trace is basically a side game. Yeah, to some extent. David, how's it going? So each trace subroutine in Winchester is a unique hide and seek game. So you only fired the third one because that was the most punitive in the case. I wouldn't say the most punitive, but like literally didn't matter. Because the runner will not spend any money on a trace that has no impact. Neither will I. And the runner will not spend any money on a trace that has no impact. There just wasn't any programs or hardware. So this is the only one that actually mattered. So it's just like ignoring subroutines on an ice. Like imagine somebody ran into a boomy and the subroutine says trash and install program. On JNet, I could just not resolve that. That's basically what we did. If they have no programs, I just wouldn't hit this button. But if they had core damage, well, we always do core damage if we can. But if they had no programs, I would not click the button. This card is legal? Yeah. Yeah, it was one of the ways to give your runner 2 links for DreamNet. It bugged me that OG core only had 2 rabbit holes. Yeah, buy another core. Enjoy your second Desperado, friend. Cyber Trooper is the bird? I always thought it was the shadow dude in the foreground. No, I think Cyber Trooper is a companion. I'm pretty sure Cyber Trooper is the bird. Yeah. Oh, no, not companion, connection. I think the Cyber Troopers are the birds. He's not, he's nice enough, but not when there's 5,187 of him. It's the birds, which is really cool. I know Trace is complex for new players, but I love it and miss it. It's great for self-balancing econ within a card pool as opposed to flat cost, and helps corps turn money into a win con. Yes, I think overall, Trace a lot of times was used, and this was the sort of like criticism that NSG had at a time, specifically June, who was the lead designer at the time, is that a lot of times Trace is just a binary effect, and a lot of text and mechanics is used in a way that's not actually interesting. The idea with C-Source is like, okay, if I have more money than you, this card basically could just be X cost. Right? Because there's very few situations, vanishingly few situations, in which the corp spends some amount of money that the runner could beat, but then either decides not to or decides to, right? So at the end of the day, this could just be cost X, and it just says X is 1 more than the runner has money, right? Because that is how this card played 98% of the time. That being said, there were certain cards that Trace was actually interesting, right? Like IP Block is a busted card. It is just cracked numbers on it. But this Trace 3, if successful, give the runner a tag, and the runner's tagged. This is a card that, you know, basically had a subroutine that said the runner spends 3 or ends the run. And on top of it, the corp also can now leverage a credit differential into making sure the run ends. And that's also fascinating because you can bounce off of this. Caduceus is one of my favorite cards, and it was always okay. And Caduceus has this trace that first you can spend money to make money. So in theory, the corporation could spend and make this a trace 5, and they would only profit a credit, which is sometimes right. And then the result of this trace impacts the second trace, because if the corporation suddenly has 3 more credits, they can boost that to make this trace 5. That is cool. Like there's some really cool stuff here. I do think the amount of time that you could sit and think about this trace interaction is a lot. Like maybe for how thinky this ends up being, to be like, oh, if I spend 2 but then they beat it, then they go to 4 but then they spend 2, so they're on 2, so they can make this trace 4. I have base link, right? Like sometimes that is a bit much, that's for sure. But I do want to say, if hard hitting news was a trace card, I think it would be much more healthy than Oppo Research is modernly. It would be less powerful, but this thing should have been a trace card for sure. But I do think attaching the tags to trace 4 means that we won't end up in false lead prisons. And I think that's probably a lot better for the game. Like there is something good to be said about hard hitting news, which is one of the most common trace cards of all time. For sure. The first 2 were irrelevant to the game state and thus just make time and energy pointless. Yeah, it's just wasted clicks. What's the worst thing they could do, stab me? Hey Alex, to take a Saisantan, Hammer is a big threat in the meta at the moment. Hammer does little in some board states and devastating in others. Whenever I fire Hammer, it feels like it wins the game for me. But like this is the same idea. Just don't install stuff and run against Wayland. Hammer is like relatively common in certain Wayland lists. This card is gross. How you doing, Alex? I played against 130 card Synapse NVN deck. What is the idea with that? Oh, no idea. No idea. There is 1 or 2 players on JNet that very consistently play like a big deck because they find it tickles them. There is no like competitive idea. It's just a thing you can do. I probably know who you played against, and we won't say their name in chat because then never mind. Airblades is the best killer. As an aggressive crim, though, my most common aggression loss is accidentally grabbing 2 Fujis to threat 4 turn 1 and just eating death. Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. But yeah, that's not a real thing. They're just like some people enjoy playing a big deck. Just like I've played 100 card runner decks. Is it fun? Yeah. I face checked the hammer on turn 7 in a recent game and lost twinning. The game went to turn 31. Yikes. I always appreciate community members who are willing to do a post-mortem on games, especially when I'm so confused. No, asking questions is sick, for sure. Like, it's really important. The bird represents Twitter trolls? ZC, yeah, kind of. A cyber trooper, if I'm not mistaken, is somebody who is like specifically has the goal of instigating online conversation in a certain way. Like, it is a legitimate internet term. Yeah, a person who is paid to disseminate political propaganda on the internet, particularly on social media platforms, which like makes the tone of the Shaper card way different than, oh, cute birds, go fun. But it is, yeah, they are trolls. That's why 5,000 of them are a problem. Hey, Radish, thanks for helping commentate Pittsburgh Mega. Thank you. Congratulations on your play as well and the top cut. It was a really fun time. Hope your friendly local game store is able to handle Bill 96. I don't know if they can. There was a CTV clip, or was it, I forget, there was maybe a CBC clip, and one of the people interviewed on the clip was one of the store owners of a store in Laval, which is like the suburbs of Montreal, who we used to go to his events, Julien, all the time. He ran like very consistent events. We don't go there anymore. They don't play Netrunner there, they play other stuff. But there's like a clip of him saying, find another hobby, which is pretty stark, and I'm hoping for the best there. But for those who haven't followed Bill 96, in short, stores or businesses are being enforced in Quebec to make sure that the product has French text on it. So the idea is that like Netrunner, Null Signal Games Netrunner cannot be sold on shelves because their packaging is in English. We would have to have predominantly French packaging, which for a lot of board games, let alone things like Warhammer miniatures, just means that Quebec gets effed because they're not going to do a big packaging change just to sell to the Quebec market, which is probably not worth the effort for distribution and packaging and all that sort of stuff. That's the short of the long. It's a bit more nuanced to that. There's a lot more parts to the bill, including like signage. But the idea is that like the stuff in stores has to be in French. Which for a lot of stuff is just not possible, right? Like Null Signal Games does not have the French packaging on the stores for like English cards. Like you have to buy English cards and French packaging. Like it makes no sense. And I think a lot of people are arguing that this should follow in the same, like board game stores and miniature stores should fall into the same sort of like exemptions that cultural stores fall into. Like bookstores can sell English books, right? Because it's not something that's that easily translated like that. And apparently board game stores don't fall underneath that. The hobby won't die, people will buy online. Tyler, from my understanding, there's conversation too about saying like they will stop shipments and they will do other things that are like a bit ridiculous. I don't know how they enforce it, but there'll be some stores that won't be allowed to ship to Quebec unless they're shipping French packaging. I don't know if there's some truth to that. I don't know what those complications look like, but I've heard the conversation online to be like, yeah, it obviously is going to be like, okay, now my FLGS is in Toronto, which like, what the that's awful. That's awful for like 17 different reasons. I wish I had more traces like Trojan where the amount you beat them by mattered. Yeah, those are the cool trace stuff where X mattered. Like, shout out to what's it called? Mid seasons, where like sometimes the trace strength difference mattering is really interesting. That's how you make a cool trace card. Rip Sonny, hey Drew. Caduceus feels like peak Let's Do Math. Oh yeah, it can be really bad Let's Do Math when it matters, but it's like kind of neat. Lamplighter's text sort of feels like modern day Trace 3. Yes, but like imagine Lamplighter, the corporation could say like, oh, if I have more credits, I can make this worse than 3. And at the end of the day, that takes a lot of text. But like all these abilities feel like Trace, but the idea is that say that the corporation had 10 credits and the runner has 1, the corporation could make this 5, and that would be the right play because it ends the run. And you don't get that sort of granularity, as much as maybe that's not worth the mechanic for sure. Bro giving me HHN flashbacks. There's something good to be said about HHN. It wasn't all evil. Parts of it were awful, and it was really bad for the game, but there's some cool stuff there. Wasn't there a game last week that hammer fired and the opponent just left? Yeah, yeah, that happens. False lead is cursed on its own? Yes, I agree, but at least without Oppo, it's not hyper cursed. It's like still pretty cursed. Matt, I'm doing okay. How you doing? Just dropping by before the next. Oh no, Bill 96 talk. Sorry, Pat. Had a great time at the tournament. Half the tournament being crim hurt my Thule a lot, but making top 4 was great. I don't think I have good things to say about the Thule list, and we'll get to that once we catch up on chat. But like bringing a list that is so rough to Sable and just like deep dive in general feels like a very difficult place to be in. Like I would guess that Sable is going to be the most represented at any tournament this weekend, and so bringing a Thule into that has no ice sounds like such a hard bargain. Have not heard about this build. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's really quite bad. There's a lot of like protection of French language in Quebec, and like I understand parts of it. You want to hear something ridiculous? Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't think this is ridiculous. I've lived in Quebec for a while. My French is not very good. And specifically, my French that is not good is the sort of like technical French. Like I could speak to someone maybe on the street or the bus stop and have a conversation. But if someone wants to ask me about things like insurance and healthcare and like political, complicated governmental terms, I don't have that language. I don't have that vocabulary for many, many reasons. As of June last year, if you call up, so I had to renew my health insurance. And when you call up the RAMQ, the Association Médicale Québec, the assurance people, the insurance people, you pick up the phone and it says for, you know, after you listen to all the French, it says in service in English, hit this button. And then it says, as of June 3rd, 2023, English service is not provided. We will only provide English service if you have, and then they give a couple caveats. If you've only been in the country for like less than 6 months and you're still learning French, or, and luckily the last one was, if you have conversed with us in English prior to June 3rd, like some year prior, like June 3rd, 2021. And then they say, in good faith, we're assuming that you pick the right option. But like, that is ridiculous. I cannot talk to them about medical stuff like insurance because I don't speak the language here. All other parts of Canada, when you call any governmental line, they will speak to you in French or English. And like, for what it's worth, Ontario's not multilingual. Like, we're not bilingual officially. It's just all governmental services as like respect thing. They're in both languages, English and French. This is the one country they don't do English anymore as of 2 years ago. I'm very lucky that I could call up, but if I had to get my health card renewed with immediacy because I went to the hospital the previous night and I don't speak French, I'm cooked. No one speaks to me in English. It's crazy. It's so absurd. And what do they think this is going to do? Like, people are going to leave. That's, I think, their goal. But like, businesses are going to leave. People are not going to immigrate here. And I think that is the goal. But it's so absurdly like, it's so frustrating. But I'm like scared. Like, it's to the point where if I call the police, are they going to speak to me in English? No, maybe not. Maybe they won't have to. It's like, it's awful. It's really, really bad. And good faith sounds like a Wayland card. Yeah, I don't know. Like if I had to go get my driver's license now, I don't think I would be able to do it because I don't think I can speak the quality of French. For all other places, like you're trying to make things as accessible as possible. Here, they're trying to make it as inaccessible as possible. And I understand that like the English language is pretty invasive and people are scared of losing the culture. But the Quebec culture here is like so strong and vibrant. And it also like, it embraces other stuff. Like, oh man, I don't know. To be fair, the French translation not being available is a problem in France too. Oh yeah, well that's definitely its thing, for sure. NSG's translation is, their team is very, I reckon, busy, and it's very hard. It's all like volunteer stuff. But it's a second problem where it's like, we need English translation and French packaging, which like, the fuck? That's such a bad skew. Hey Cross, how's it going? I got hit by mid-seasons for the first time in an Eternal Side event, felt good. Like Mars for Martians. I missed Trojan Horse, not me. Not me. I got a fire mid-seasons for the first time this past weekend. Oh, yo, Kevin, how was the weekend? You enjoyed Eternal on Sunday, right? Sorry, I'm behind by chat, so I'm going to have to... The thing I just ranted about, people are responding, but it's later on. The problem with people who buy online is if people don't buy at LGS, then how is the LGS keeping the doors open for people to play there? No, exactly, Luca. It's messed up. Like, they're not going to exist. If people can't buy their Warhammer miniatures at the store they go to play Warhammer, that store won't exist anymore. And this is what they're doing to support Quebec business and Quebec local industry. Like there's no Quebec miniatures. I can't go to the Quebec. Like it's absurd. It doesn't make sense. Could a runner's link become a deduction from pay costs on ice the first time each turn? I'm assuming that would be unhealthy, but I think it's like not impossible for NSG to figure out ways to deal with link that are not trace based. In fact, we've already seen some back in the day. For instance, we had cloud breakers, and cloud breakers just had this like subtype that said if you have at least 2 MU, they don't cost, if you have at least 2 link, they don't cost MU. So there's a lot of ways to attach link to other cards. We had like Jack Sinclair, that Jack Sinclair's install cost was reduced by how much link you have. So that's kind of cool. So there's other ways to do it that I don't think have to be totally like just like straight, you know, built into the rules like that. I'm new to the country. I know, but then they ask you like how long you've been here for your health card, and you're like, I've been here since 15 at this point. And like, maybe I should just learn French. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm the villain. I should have learned French by now. But it's also like, fuck. Dueling versus deep dive wasn't actually a huge problem. Defensive upgrades do a lot of work there, but Reg Sable's unfavored. That said, it's favored versus the most Hosh I've seen, which was American Megacities meta. So just give them a call just in case I ever move to Quebec. Yeah, exactly. You should just call in Alex and be like, hey, but it's too late. You had to call them in 2021. I'm a natural French speaker, and I think that the last couple of years language laws are just ridiculous. They're bad, but they're like incredibly. I think my guess is that they're immensely like totally one-sided, and then they'll argue back to something more reasonable in the middle, which is probably still, you know, to one direction of reasonable. But it's wild. Better learn, stop practicing Netrunner. Sable just has so much click compression attached to econ. The extra clicks really matter. Oh, 100%. Sorry, having to deal with that, Andre. Sounds unnecessary stressful. Yeah, it could be worse, I guess, but like, I don't know. I don't know. My parents were like immigrated in the 80s, and like they were required. My dad was required to jump through a lot of hoops as well. There was immigrant fears back then, for sure, and he had to like prove English as a second language from like TOEFL and doing all this sort of academic stuff, which is really difficult even for an English speaker to pass. But like it seemed like a lot of times you were surrounded by services that would help support you, and this just seems like the opposite. It's weird. DreamNet has link stuff. Yeah, DreamNet's another one that cares about 2Link for sure. Eternal Side event was a lot of fun. Some of the decks are kind of wild. I would think bringing back Cloudbreakers would be cool, but I like Sunny. Yeah, Cloudbreakers okay. Can you show Vancouver Megacity? Sorry if you already did. I have to help Evie with something. Yeah, Alec, we sort of have. So mind you, this weekend, the 22nd to 23rd, maybe to the 24th, is the Vancouver Megacities. It's a massive event. We've already shown like a bunch of the prize support. It's really quite nice. If you're not in the Rain City Netrunner Discord, you gotta, I guess, hit me up. I'll try and get the link in the Discord. I don't know if it's like a public link or not. But their event is this weekend. Prize support seems very fantastic. There's a lot of good side event stuff. It should be streamed. We're just not sure where, but we'll also have a stream link for those who are not on the West Coast. 21st and 22nd. Oh, excuse me. Should have looked at the calendar. Yeah, 20th is Friday. Yeah, that makes sense. Been here my whole life and French isn't good enough for legalese. No, it's not. Hey, Zen, how's it going? It's like really bad. It's like exactly the sort of French that I don't know. It's like, oh, okay, we have to talk about insurance claims. It's like, this is the worst stuff. Butcher shop into Liza and CI into Siphon DLR Max. Oh my God. Swingy. Yeah, swingy is one word for it. I like Sunny, and Link seemed an interesting design space, but trace mechanics was a nightmare. I didn't mind the trace mechanics on Sunny. Sunny was a bit oppressive. It'll be on my channel. Alec, what is your channel? I don't know if you shared it because it eats it, but it's like Rain City Netrunner? Did I find it? No, yours has an image. You might have eat the link. Your actual name. Oh, it's in Sundarin. Okay. Is this it? Is this you? Are we here? Let me know quickly. You're missing RP. Oh my God, you're right. Sundarin RP. This is better. This is a hedgehog. We all know. Okay, I'll put this in chat. Yeah, you should see hedgehog 10. That tracks. Okay, so that's what it'll be this weekend if you want to watch some good Netrunner. Awesome. All right. Anyways, sorry about the rants. Let's do a bit of a meta recap before we start playing some decks today. I want to say that there was two big events this weekend. There was Pittsburgh Steel City Grid. I have the link already in the description coming up, but we did a live stream. This shout out to London who put a lot of effort. My screen's really flickery. I don't think it's coming through the stream, which is good. But this was great. This was like the first live stream. For those running the Steel City, it might be funky, man. You really want to put the live page. This is like every YouTube channel I don't think does this well right now, but you need to put live here because a lot of people come to Steel City Grid and this is the YouTube landing page. And then they're like, oh, 2 months ago, and they leave, right? This, you can get it. So like if you go to the Metropole Grid, we have the live page on the front page. That's what you kind of want to have so that when people come in, they can see this. Just add it. It's really easy. Go to customize channel. You want to get the stuff up here and you can curate it a bit, but this stuff is hidden. YouTube does a really bad job at hiding the live stuff. I don't know why. Shout out to Null Signal Games too. I think they have the same problem. Like this is the NSG like landing YouTube page. It's not particularly great. This like videos is down here. There's no live streams. Like tournaments should be, a lot of work could be done here and probably should be done here, but like you got to get the live streams on the front page if you ask me. Anyways, let's talk about this meta. It was really fun if you want to watch it. There was 22 players. We did some top cut stuff on Sunday with Seth, and then I did some streaming in the morning with Axu, which both of those players are really quite nice. And I want to shout this meta out because it was like very weird. It is a small enough event, like it's 22 players, so that's relatively small for a mega city, but like there's some interesting trends and stuff here. If you look at the meta breakdown, and I think we actually can pull this on Maker's Eye, there was a lot of Sable at the event. I don't think anything else was too surprising, but the breakdown on the left side, it's like 2 NBN decks, which Nebula wasn't showing up a lot. There's a Pravdivos deck there, but a lot of Thule. Well, actually not a lot of Thule. 2 players playing the same Thule deck. I think London also had a hand in this deck, if I'm not mistaken. And then a lot of like just Wayland, a lot of Jinteki. There were some Mateas too. What I really want to highlight is that the top 4 players, even the top 5 players, didn't lose a runner game, right? Like the Corp side, outside of Seb K, who went undefeated, Corps were kind of struggling. Like these Thule decks, which as you probably heard in the chat, probably don't do well against Sable, and there's a lot of Sable this event. I think it was the most represented runner. The Thule decks kind of went 3-3 going to the top cut, so not performing too well, but the runners went undefeated. And in the top cut, I have never seen this. It was only a top 4, but it was double elimination. Runners didn't lose a game. I don't think I've seen that. I calculated the runner win rate for the whole event was like 54%, somewhere between 54 and 51. I forget the number, but it wasn't egregious. But then when you go to the top cut, the runner win rate is 100%. Literally the best thing you could do to the top cut is just play runner. There was the bracket reset, which is exciting, but like just runners didn't lose a single game. Whether you want to say that's meta, I do think runners benefit a lot more from open deck lists than corps do generally, because corps put their cards face down, and that's a harder problem to solve. Understanding the kill reach of a Thule deck is like a problem that once you understand makes the deck a lot worse for sure. Understanding what they can put on the table, like open deck list does not benefit corporations a lot. And these Sable decks, like I don't think there's cards in them that you really have to worry about specifically. They're all kind of the same. Runner won over 50% competitive meta saved. I mean, isn't that what people are saying right now? But anyways, this is really weird. I think this Thule deck, obviously it didn't win any games in the top cut, but I do think in the top cut against like, what was it? Maggie, which probably doesn't die, and 2 Sables, like that seems really, really, really rough. And runners just kind of walked through this. It was fun to watch though. It was a good event. I do think the later rounds, we were seeing a lot of top tables. I think later rounds, they started showing like mid tables and stuff on stream. So you can see a bit of different stuff for sure. Let's note that runners are favored in the top cut, but lower table corp is favored for most players, I think. Need data to back this up. I think that's the vibes-based response, Daogen. I do think on average, corps get better the lower table you get, because the corps, I think runners need to play well to beat corporations, and sometimes you just don't have that. There's a top cut versus non-top cut win rates on the maker's eye that supports that. Yeah, for sure. The other event this weekend was 44 players at America's online megacities. Just to say, I ran the numbers on this. This also had a 51% just about win rate. I think it was like 54 at America's, but 51% runner win rate. And then the top cut, it was definitely not 100, but it was 64. So still a pretty sizable jump once you get to the top cut. What was pretty wild. So this was technically the top 8 and the run couldn't play. So Augustus luckily got a sneak in there just off the bubble. Did really well, came into the finals for sure. But if you look at the top cut representation of decks, like I don't think people are super stoked about this. In terms of the top, let's look at the top 8. You can look at the top 11. But in terms of the corp decks, it's like Auco, Ob, and RH. That's it. There's like 3 IDs in the top like 9 decks. If you go down to 11, you add Nuven and another RH. But this is like 2 factions and basically like 2.5 identities, which is like kind of weird. The runner side is worse. If you go down to the top 11, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the top 11 is Hoshiko. I don't think any of these Hoshiko decks are particularly interesting. I think they're just reg Hosh, but I haven't looked through all the decks. My vibe is that the reg Hosh. It's cool that we see an Arsana, and I think Arsana is actually one of the few people that can make Knickknack make any amount of sense. And then we have the expected like Don't Die Maggie decks, which are doing okay. The runner side and the corp side are doing just about well. You don't have the undefeated runner problem. But yeah, this meta was very weird. Notably, this is the Lost My Thumbs in 13th place on the top performing criminal, and Sable just did not show up to this tournament. I don't know if Sable would have been bad at this tournament, but like Sable, there was like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sables, 7 Sables out of 44 players, which is way lower than I think we've seen at anything. It still might have been the second most represented identity, but super, super, super weird there. Very, very strange. What's also weird, the top cut round. So the top players get to pick their side in round 1. And I don't think I've seen this where the top players, the majority of them lost their choice. So I think the top cut players were Cybershark, Alpi, Kablushi, and Ice Cream. So Ice Cream, Kablushi, Cybershark, and Alpi all lost their preferred pick sides on round 1. I don't know whether these 3 players assumed that runner was going to win because runner meta, but I don't think I've seen this where everybody lost their pick of side in a top cut in the first round. That's bizarre. Everyone looked at the matchup and be like, yeah, that's my matchup. And everyone either called it wrong, the game went weird, or they called this so that their second round matchup could be a bit better, which weird. Very, very strange. But I haven't seen this. I've not seen a 0% pick conversion before. No, just very weird. 0% pick conversion is absurdly strange. I don't know what happened or for what reason. From this point on, I do think the runners start winning more. That just kind of happens at the top cut. But yeah, open deck list favors runners a bit more for sure. But yeah, this top cut meta is like Yeah, not my favorite. Not loving this meta. Yeah, Santa, not me either. I think the competitive meta, I'm excited to see some changes. These Oko decks, for, you know, what it's worth, they are relatively different. I think now every Oko deck is now down to the same, maybe instead of 15 cards, 12 cards. Some of these are cutting Bladderwort. I believe Jad is playing like a scoring Oko with a lot of ice. I think more ice actually makes sense with Oko, which is cool. But all the Oko decks are like, I think kind of really hard to play against because understanding whether they're tags or whether they're Hollow-Man or that sort of stuff, it's like really tricky. I still think they produce those like turn 1 blowouts where it's like, oh, an iced up Fut and they have 2 counters by turn 2 and you don't have Pinel. Like that makes a bit of a non-game, it feels. But yeah, the op decks, there's some really cool decks. We're gonna be playing Augie's op deck, which I think is just like very inspired and looks really, really fun. Shout out to Augie for uploading replays. That's fantastic. A lot of these op decks, I do think half of them are like just damage Bladderwort spam decks, which are still make cool lines, but a lot of this is like kind of what you expect it to be, which is for better for worse. Can we unban DreamNet for the outcome matchup? I think it's a matter of time. I'm assuming if Hoshiko gets banned, we get DreamNet back, which like I think we're excited for that. Probably. I don't know, Monkey's Paw and all that. Hey Spider Bro, Cut Swiss is the biggest differentiator. Yeah, for sure. So I remember seeing you talk about building a Netrunner scene. That's incredible for you. Hope it keeps going well for you. Oh, hold on, behind on chat. Really high behind on chat. I live in Hawaii and work with the local indigenous groups to help get games in the hands of underserved indigenous kids. Happy to see mulch in the top cut. How many mulches were here? Were these mulch decks? I assume they were all just Red Hoshiko. This is Red Hoshiko. I think the Light the Fire is actually probably good on the day. This is Red Hoshiko. This is Red Hoshiko. This is Red Hoshiko. This is a Maggie deck I opened on accident. This is Reg Hoshiko. Like, I don't know what to say. It is literally the same deck for the last meta. It is unfortunate. It's not really changing. I thought the stats showed that even though the prevailing sentiment is runner favorite corp win rates was still higher. In all these events, at no point either in top cut or in Swiss was runner win rate, was corp win rate higher. I'm doing some math on this using some TME data. Couldn't find a strong correlation between low, mid, high tables and corp versus runner win rate overall. Oh, very cool. Yeah, this is the Spider Bro who makes the Maker's Eye. So what you can do, I think you just grab this number. I forget how this works. So let's do this. We'll run it. And it gives you like a really good breakdown of meta stuff. So that's fine. So yeah, corp win rate, runner win rate. I think this event was 51. Oh, 50? I think I got 51 runner. So maybe my numbers were slightly wrong, but like parity, that's fine. This is the representation wheel, which is really, you know, Nebula did not convert. There was a lot of Nebula at this event. And this is like the most painful thing is that I think Nebula is just the worst, but a lot of top players are beating Nebula consistently because Nebula doesn't feel like it has that many options. It kind of just sits there and hopes to win. And it can build board states that are like gross, but against like a lot of run-based criminal, which wasn't at the event, Nebula just isn't converting, which is like the worst. Because if Nebula won a bunch of events, I'd be like, oh, they can ban Nebula, and that would be like an you know, high five for everyone. But the fact that Nebula is not converting in major events makes it like it might not be targeted by a ban list. But oh my god, isn't it pronounced Thule? It is pronounced Thule. Whoop, how's it going? A lot of people say Thule or Thule or stuff like that, but it should be Thule from my understanding. There's a pronunciation guide online, but nobody says Thule the same way twice, for better or for worse. Christmas colors, all the hosh. Imagine I have opinions about colonization and language. Also, my own tribe is struggling hard to maintain their language, and they're located in Quebec, so Bill 96 hits them hard. Oh my god, yeah, for sure. Holy shit, that conversation's probably even more messed up. Yikers. I'd rather have a 60-40 corp favorite in Swiss and 50-50 in the cut than vice versa. I don't know, maybe. I could see that. I do think for casual play, like at all levels of play, you probably want closer than 60-40. I do think people often like kind of vibe with a corp win rate being slightly higher than a runner win rate, but yeah, everyone was going to play Sable, went to Pittsburgh. Yeah, all the Sables were in Pittsburgh. I believe in I went 5-0 on my JNet with my changes. What changes did you make, Lost? What changes to the current meta are needed? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't tell you exactly. We could talk about it in a second, maybe. Internal side event, I brought your Scorp fitting in Green Mail and 2 BOAC over Ballista. Very fun. Had a great time. We only got a couple games in since we just cycled decks. Oh yeah, people are trading. This tournament is Rip Criminal. It's really bad, Changeling, and I don't know why it is so bad. Like the runner representation on Criminal wasn't awful, but like Sable showed up. It was actually more represented than Hosh. Oh my god, Sable was... Wait, what is this? 136 players? What are we looking at? What is 136 players? This is the full 25 or 4 meta analysis? Okay, good. We did this wrong. Okay, I did this wrong. Probably in chat people are saying you did it wrong, but we were not looking at the numbers for that event. Why is this not working? Should I just do the number? Because ASOPs is a bit weird right now. Spider Bro, what am I doing wrong? Because I have a problem with ASOPs. I know Jeff is aware of this. That if you go to asopstables.net, it unfortunately gives you this like landing page. So you have to find it somewhere else. Plus enter, click the I. Okay. Oh, I clicked on the meta-analysis because I meant to hit here. Yeah, that makes sense. Closed decklist is pretty hard to evaluate what you're up against when there's so many different options. Yeah. All right, so this is the event. So Sable is still pretty well represented, but Hosh is the... Okay, this is what we expect. I do think overall, yeah, the runner is above 50% win rate. That's what I calculated. I think this was like 54? Might be. No, it's cool. I'll figure it out. Cut conversion rates, you get cut representation. Ob, super represented. I'm pretty sure that I read Augie's matchup and Augie's write-up, sorry, and Augie was surprised that there's this many people on Op. At the last minute, it seems like everyone kind of just changed the Op, but I don't think this was a big call going to the meta. Nebula is still super representative, actually probably the most represented corp. Yep, most represented corp, not converting. That is still like the most painful data point for me for sure. And then we have some cut conversion rates. So the right one is cut conversion, the left one is win rate. So corps are doing well. Alco still being 67% win rate. Oh, please make it stop. Oko is like, it is honestly really fun, but like people should be teched for Oko at this point and it's still winning like nearly 70% of games. It is just absurd. It is absurd. Isawak definitely not doing it. Epiphany barely doing it, but the corps of the positive win rate are like really just Alco bringing the numbers up. Yeah, but actually it's winning more than the games. I wonder if the runner side was just upsetting people. What is Hosh losing to? So I don't know how to read these numbers. I think left is runner win rate. Yeah. So Hosh has a bad matchup into nothing. Op is tricky. Op is like the most even, but everything else seems fine. Great. That's cool. My current take is that Sable should be playing 1 Unity and 13 Influence of Oko Tech. Kind of feels like it. Hey, Zaire Wilson. How's it going? Thanks for the kind words. Peer review is out and predictive planogram is in. I dropped Tau from my ads because every time I drew, I hated to see it. Peer review would look really ugly at Pittsburgh. It seemed like such a clumsy card. Very hard to play it if you have a bad hand because showing your agendas in it are really rough. Anyways, this is the data. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel great about it. There's more tournaments this weekend. Shout out to Vancouver Megacities on the West Coast. There's also the APAC Megacities, which is going to be an online NSG ran on JNet. That probably will have less players than this. So if you're trying to like shark that good old invite to a Continentals, the buy, grab it there. That's for sure. Not that there won't be competitive players there, but it's usually the one that has the smallest amount of players. And then I think EMEA is probably the following weekend, but I would have to double check. Always feels so wild to me that the corp deck gets really mean and weird when it's a runner favorite meta. Yeah, well, you know, orthogonal strategies. If you don't feel like you're comfortable scoring in a remote server, you got to do something weird for sure. I found the cards really fun to play with early, but yeah, trying to play competitive isn't great right now. Yeah, it's not my favorite. Notably, there might be more Bladderwort and Ob than Auco now. Yeah, a lot of these Auco decks actually ended up cutting Bladderworts, which like, I kind of get it. It's a powerful card, but generally it gets trashed if you have to ice it up. But like, how many of these lists are cutting Bladderworts? This one didn't play Bladderwort. This is Alpi's list. Yeah, he cut Bladderwort. This is measured response touch-ups. Oh my god, the complete image touch-ups kill is really cheesy. And I can't believe that complete image. I totally forgot about the text on this one. And this was a card we spoiled on the channel. This is one of our reveal cards for the first set. So I thought this, you had to steal an agenda on your prior turn. Alpi made this sort of like the Oscars part 2 write-up, which is really funny if you know the history. But all you want to do here, and I can't believe this is like, I haven't seen this before, but touch-up lets you look at the whole runner's hand. So when you touch-ups, say the runner's on 4 cards in hand. Okay, this is the gameplay, the modern gameplay if they're not playing Stone Chip for some reason. If you play touch-ups, they go from 4 cards, if you're lucky, down to 2 cards, okay? So they're on 2 cards, and you have 1 click left. So if you play complete image, they flatline 50% of the time. No shot is real. I hope not. But like, as a corporation, if you think your win rate is sub 50, would you want to just flip a coin? Because we now can just flip a coin. If they have 4 cards in hand, touch-ups bring them to 2, just flip a coin. If they have 3 cards in hand, it's like what, half of 33? Yeah, so you get that 16.666 repeating, of course. Yeah. Sick. I mean, it's a cromulent game plan. The thing is, like, the list only has 1 complete image, so if it happens, it happens. But like, I don't think I realized I have to be playing around touch-ups into complete image into the coin flip. Touch-ups complete image, Fuji's almost a guaranteed kill. Right, if they stole a Fuji, I think, Jai, right? Allowing yourself to have more money is more valuable than bladder word pings. Yeah, I agree. And I think Vicetron, we're seeing a lot of more of the Oko decks play into bigger ice as well, which maybe that actually like works well against people who are playing acid tech. And then you're like, oh, how do you deal with a Boto on turn 2? Scoring Fuji mid-turn? Yeah, I guess if you have a triple advanced Fuji, you can touch up, score the Fuji, and then complete image. And that should be lethal a lot of times. But the issue is you need to have a triple advanced Fuji. Just don't hold events in grip. That has been my strategy against touch-up stacks, is like try and make sure you're getting events out of hand. But like, a good opponent might be able to call your hand. I don't know. Just play Neurospike? Yeah, you could just play Neurospike there. For sure. Lazy Nerd just chatting in chat. Sorry to distract. No, not at all. Mulch was in a Lou in Pittsburgh one. Oh, yeah. Right. Radish was playing the Mulch, for sure. Wish I could have played a Lou on stream because win rate, but also because it'd be cool to see something not blue. I agree. I think it was a bit unfortunate. This is something that like takes a lot of planning and effort when it comes to organizing like coverage, is making sure that you're showing different things. We end up showing like Thule like 3 games in a row, and I think that's just kind of how the top cut works out to be. But yeah, it is something you have to be mindful of. I'm pretty sure London had it so that the table 1 for the first 3 rounds was just table 1. The stream table was table 1. I know when I'm recording gameplay, I will never have it be table 1 if the event is not of a massive size. Because you just want to make sure. I would just talk to someone and say like, are you okay playing on camera? And then just be like, oh, today we're going to watch a different idea, different faction. Something that happens. Like London did a great job. This is the first stream. But yeah, I do think going out of the way to make sure the table 1 is different is pretty cool. Because we saw a lot of the same decks. Hey, Heliopolix. Maybe this is intensely linear and the runner has a game plan, you're going to struggle. Yes, unless they like score double false lead and they don't have tech, and then the game's kind of cooked. The thing is, Crim is very heavy on run base, and the tournaments are just showing runners that are not super heavy run based econ. I don't know. Well, like Pittsburgh was all run based econ doing really well. I thought it was Thulier. I'm not gonna be able to show the API pronunciation, but Thule is like kind of the underworld, right? Thule, just show me Thule Wikipedia. Okay. There's a pronunciation guide on Wikipedia, let alone that there's one on but it's the end is not lay, it's Lee. Thule. Like that. The double mags into the Taya matchup was so funny. Yes, that was weird. I was like, wait, I thought we just saw this. Turns out it's not great when your ID dies to chest or most enter card pool. Yep. Yeah, it's not good for you. Thule is a Nordic word meaning a place you want to go, but is unreachable. I thought in like mythology, Thule was like a kind of underworld. Okay, so the pronunciation here is like Julie, is also spelled as northern location mentioned in ancient Greek and Roman literature and cartography. I thought it has Nordic attachments, right? Like Norse. Can I find that? Other potential locations of the island in Estonia and Norwegian island of Smola. Anyways, yeah, it's pronounced Thule. A lot of people don't say it like that. You hear like 17 different pronunciations. I classically say Thule, which is not right. Hey, Kenny. How's it going? Sorry, I'm catching up on chat. My Final Fantasy says Thule is 1 syllable. Thule, so I'm saying it that way. For Aesop's, consider adding www in the front. I had that issue. Yeah, I think that's what I have to do. I think I have to do this. I just Google search it now. But that's good to know that works. Ob's only going to continue to trend up until another ban list hits? Maybe. I think like Augie's op list, which is the one I'm the most looking at, I do think has an issue if they play Light the Fire. And those are not showing up in no host decks, but that's kind of cool. My tactic of playing things nobody else does can continue. What happened to LEO, y'all? I thought we were going to have a good time scoring out with LEO because it seems fun. It seems strong, but no. Complete image to touch-ups is really funny. How's it going, Axu? I haven't watched or listened today. What game are you playing? Going for the solid 17%. I opened the stream, the complete images on stream. This ought to be good. Craig, how's it going? How's your commentary? I got to listen to only a bit of it. Hopefully you had a good time with orbs. Alpi once killed me when I had 5 cards in hand and a stone chip on board. Hey, Raheed. Touch-ups is such a cursed card. It's really messed up. It does so much on a single card. It literally does everything. It's very confusing how much this card does. Is touch-ups a reason to play Hyobu? No, there is no reason to play Hyobu. There's no reason to play Hyobu. The other Jinteki identities do more than give you a credit sometimes after revealing something. You could print so many Hyobu cards, and it still would not be better than every other Jinteki cards. Like, we're talking about Aoko. You could play Aoko. It just does things. It draws cards. Sorry, I'm yelling at a cloud now. Lost to Alpi in round 1 of Swiss. The mag deck was so implaceable. Dooley is unreachable place, excuse me. Fix the SCG YouTube front page. I don't know why they give a shitty defaults. I don't know why they do either. I think they're just not used to like streaming being a big part of YouTube. But yeah, you can just much better. Sick. This is what you want to do for sure. Create a playlist. That's great. I think this is what you want to be doing for sure. Just so when people log in, they can see your stuff. You can even do like latest video or something, but I don't think you can do latest content. I think it's either latest video or latest live stream. So this is like still pretty good. I don't know if you added the timestamps too. Hey, Cody, the IP is Thule. Yeah. I think touch-ups drops in power a lot. If corps rely on it too much, it's just not that hard to get 4 different types in hand. Sometimes you can control it. You definitely want to like play around it. And I think we're pretty young into the meta for people to be able to play around it. But like sometimes you just can't play around it. Right? Like sometimes you just draw events and it's like, okay, I have to overdraw to discard the events because I can't play the events. Like I remember playing against Nebula touch-ups at the last like GNK or whatever. And it was like, okay, I have to play every event I draw and only have 1 event in hand. And then it's up to your opponent to read that you're not hoarding events. And then you end up hoarding resources. But the thing is like when you draw, at least with Classic and Criminal, you have a bit of a choice over it. But it's like you want to overdraw to discard your events you can't play. But what happens if you draw another event? I don't know. It's kind of tricky. It's harder than it sounds. Or it's easier than it sounds. Leo's numbers aren't there yet, but getting better now that people are figuring it out. It's fun. Hey, Duckland, I'm Op ceiling has not been hit. I feel like there's a messed up deck out there. Look at 100%. I think Op's going to be a while before we find a deck to be like, oh, this is super, super meta defining. And it also seems like there's a lot of flexibility, which is good. Comms went great. I'm sorry you had to commentate Thule all day on Sunday. Felt bad for you. No, it was fun. They were fun games. I wanted to see like more Atea decks where Atea started doing kickflips, but Atea, unfortunately, on camera for the first day did not get there. Don't expose my top secret corp ID. The robot deck is mine alone. All right, we got up on chat. Let's do some deck building. I want to, or sorry, some playing. I want to show you this list. This was an Aoko list that Augie was playing. This again, shouted this out many times. Anybody who attaches replays to their videos is just the coolest person. And while this was streamed, if I'm not mistaken, we need to watch this game. Hold on. I always feel so uncomfortable hitting a link and then it asking me for my credentials because it feels right for phishing. But apparently that's what we do here. Is this the game that I'm thinking of? Okay, so let's explain the deck really quickly before we play it. I like watching great players play their deck because then you obviously understand what you should be doing and you can see what I do with this hand. I remember there was a moment before like Canadian Nationals where it's like GameNET was like really bad. And so all I could do was like watch Man the Moon's replays to figure out how to play HB for a bit. And it was like worth so much to me. To be like, how does a player who's played this deck, hopefully more than you have, how they would respond to this hand? And before you hit next step, you can see what you would do, what they would do, and then you can argue which one was probably better, probably worse. And that's just so valuable. So this op list, one of the big changes in op got is that we lost border control, which I think a lot of people were doomering about. And like, that's not a great change for sure, but we now have no change in game state. So the short of the long is you can now trash Cybersand Harvester, even if there's no credits on it. In the old rules, you can only trash this if the effect of the trash changed the game state. And that was ugly because Cybersand Harvester is a bit of an ugly card. Now with no change in game state, you can trash Cybersand Harvester whenever you want. And context op, the kind of the scary identity that newer players want to stay away from. And if you're playing on GameNET, it does teach you a lot. It helps you learn op really quickly and it's a lot of fun. This says that once per turn when you trash a res card, you can go search your deck for another card that costs 1 less than the card that was trashed, install it and res it entirely for free. That is busto taxed. This is kind of an homage to an old Magic card. Maybe not even that old of a Magic card. Maybe still gets reprinted where you go up in size. This one goes down in size, which sounds like a downgrade. But the idea is that if you trash something that has value to get another thing, drawing a card from your deck, resing it and installing it all for free is just so much absurd value. The idea is now every Cybersand Harvester, which gets trashed for 4, even if the runner runs this at instant speed, you can trash it and get a 1-coster from your deck. And the 1-costers, as much as we don't have Ice Wall anymore, the big one we want to get is Humanoid Resources. If you fire this on the runner's turn, then your turn starts, you have a Humanoid Resources, then you fire the Humanoid Resources, which you trash this, so you get a 0-coster, so you can immediately get a Spin Doctor, for instance, and then you draw 2 more cards. Humanoid fires, you draw 3 cards, and then you get 4 credits, you do a double install, and hopefully at that point you have an operation. This list isn't running that many operations. Operations aren't great in OB all the time because it doesn't interact with the OB text, but if you can find a hedge funder and extract it, sick. In theory, you get all the installs. Even if you have extra installs, you can install something and extract it for value. I don't think you really want to do that, but if you can land it, it's fine. Even if you don't land it, it's okay because you just got a spin doctor, a humanoid. You basically built your own Rashida, which feels really good right now. And that's really sick. Then when you trust the humanoid, the other thing you can do is if you don't want the spin doctor, is you get the Mitra. And the Mitra is like really interesting because this is a card that is very powerful abstractly. At a minimum, it's just 3 credits. So functionally, when you fired your humanoid, you got 7 credits as long as your opponent runs the remote server at some point. And also with 18 ice in this deck, which is the most ice I've seen in a single deck, and I wasn't expecting it to see in an op deck, you have the ability to do some Mitra tricks. Either get back an ice you've extracted or a card from HQ. And a card from HQ makes sense because you just drew a lot of cards. So if they run the remote server and they try to botchless it or Banhar it or do any sort of Trojan tricks, you can just say, nah, I'm just going to install the ice from hand you don't have the breaker for, or that's going to stop you. And that's really, really quite cool. It also means that the Stavkas, in theory, you can reset them. I haven't seen that play pattern in any of Augie's replays, but like Mitra is just a flexible card in this matchup or in this deck. Other cool things this deck is doing, it's on Zato City Grid, which this allows you to add text to a card on the remote server to trash that card and resolve one of the subroutines, which means not only can you rig shoot, and this deck actually has some weird rig shooting influence. Boomy's not bad, because Boomy's text is kind of relevant. It's only one influence, and trashing an installed program is good text for this deck. And you can Zato to throw this into them, and then immediately get a 2-coster from your deck. And you can Zato Stavkas, you can stop Zato any of your barriers, just get that border control ability, and then when you trash envelopment, you go get your 1 tree line. If you trash the tree line, you can go get your 3-coster, and then we at least have 1 Kessleroid to have the 2-coster. Very, very, very powerful. And that means the remote server in the late game, if there's 3 ice on it, and there are 3 end the runs, the runner basically can't get into that remote server. They'd have to make 4 runs, which maybe it's possible, but Zato is very, very mean. It gets beaten by Hush, it gets beaten by Pinhole, it gets beaten by Light the Fire. And this deck is actually pretty weak to Light the Fire. Regolith, also very powerful card, super powerful. When you get this, you get a 1-coster. The deck is on Tucana. I'm surprised this deck is not on Mavirus, but Holoman's also very, very important. Trashing your 3-coster to get a Holoman is really quite good. I'm not sure exactly what the line to get this on the table. And then we're just running as few agendas as possible with SDSs, which we can never advance with Holoman, which seems very powerful. This deck is like a lot of rig shooting. It has a lot of rig shooting to it. And you can watch all the replays. I think this is the replay I really wanted to show because it's like 7 turns. And now understanding what the deck can do, you can see this matchup. I think Ruben makes 1 strange play. Anthill into Holo. Oh my god, yeah, right. Anthill's in the deck. And Antill is so good. Because you can get Anthill on turn 1, and when this trashes, you get a 2-coster. So either you go for the Tucana for the push, or you can go for the Holoman for the push. It's very, 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 very good. Very cool. Mitra Stavka versus Mitra Anemone. You also have Half-Run, which is worth keeping in mind too. This is a card that in theory you can Mitra and then stop somebody from breaking this or whatever's coming down the server. That's cool. As much as we don't have like any of the obvious like Mavirus into Half-Run blowouts, which we don't have. Is this the matchup I think it is? Okay, so this hand, do we keep this? I think this hand is great. We have money, we have a cheap end the run. We can jam the humanoid behind the fly swatter. We're against Hosh. Sorry, the art's not loading, but Hosh is going to touch the central for sure. So we're off. Humanoid, fly swatter, Tithe, better than Boomy. We don't really want to res the Boomy unless this text does something, so this is a great start. The cool thing about the humanoid is 1 credit, which is cheaper than what's it called, Anthill. So even if the runner contests this, and the only thing that could blows this out is like install a breaker or either face check and then put a botulus, because fly swatter is really good, and I think fly swatter in this deck sings. I think we're on 2. Yeah, fly swatter is just such a good card, and this is a great start. So Ruben raindrops it. If this gets rezzed, you know it's something good in the remote server, because otherwise you're giving the runner card draw. So this has to be either a humanoid or it likely has to be an Anthill. And then Ruben here on 1 credit, I think runs HQ. Hello? Yep. This is an interesting run because you're assuming if this is an Anthill, you can't res this and then protect the humanoid. But it's a Tithe, which we can res for free, functionally. We take a net damage, so we hit a Gachapon. If that had a Banhar, that'd be maybe a bit better. And we steal the Ezyef. So good start for both players. Ruben gets a flip, 2 points, but we do get the humanoid here. Fermenter, not getting the Banhar down right away, just getting the Gachapon. I'm not sure what we're looking for here, whether it's for a Botulus or whether for a companion, but we have the Banhar on turn 1. I think there's a chance that you want to play around, like, if you're assuming this is an Anthill, maybe you want to run it down with a Banhar, but maybe you're assuming a second ice will enter here next turn. All right, humanoid, we just fire it. We're going to get a Mitra. Could go for a Spin Doctor there. That's on the table. We drew another humanoid, so we can fire back-to-back Rashidas, and now we get 2 installs. So we still have the extract, which is great. So we've already used op, so extracting the Tithe won't get us anything. We jam the humanoid. We put another piece of ice. We put the Stavka, which this will beat Botulus now. And then we're going to hold the extract. So Augie's not playing the extract here because we've already used op on this turn and wants to extract for some value. I'm assuming in the future we'll extract the Tithe, but we also have another humanoid, so we can use the extract on that turn. Ruben fires, gets the Botulus, so that's the line to contest the fly swatter. I'm assuming here we install, I don't know, the twinning? You install the Botulus, or maybe you just get the Echelon down. We just get the Echelon down, and then we remove 2 from the game. Removing Botulus, it's like rough in the matchup with Extract, and also this is open decklist, so Ruben knows there's a Boomy, there's a Mitra, so Botulus is not great into the server. Ruben sets up, clean getaway is good. We're just going to set up, maybe Hoshiko won't flip, but we do have the clean getaway into Leech, so we'll see a card there. Second humanoid, 2 Rashidas on turn 2. We're back into pre-elevation meta. We get the Spin Doctor here because we already have the Mitra. I hear Rashida is a good card. Spins on the table, and now we've drawn into our second agenda. So SDS drone deployment is something we can jam here with the Holoman. I think that's just the jam. SDS Holoman. So contesting the Echelon is really important. Not that an early Echelon is that scary because this stuff can easily be 7 strength. We haven't got the Banhar down yet. I don't know if you prioritize that. And then here we're going to play the Hedge Fund instead of the Extract because again, we've used Op already. And we're going to discard 2 cards. It was Sandstone and Envelopment. Next turn, we can score this out. It's going to be very expensive, but we can score this out. If the server gets contested, we have Mitra, so even if they get a decoder, we can swap this, and Stavka is also very powerful. You can Stavka the Fly Swatter to get, I guess there's no 1 cost end to run ice, but you have so many options here. Boomerang is drawn. Running R&D for single, running the Spin Doctor. That order, no shuffle back, so forcing the trash is cool, and then just drawing. I don't know what the order is if you run the Spin Doctor first or after. I'm assuming if you're assuming the Spin Doctor will shuffle back agendas, I think you want to shuffle first because Ruben just lost R&D lock there. Turns out not to be impactful. And then we're just going to res the Holoman, score the SDS, and shoot down the Echelon. You could shoot down the Fermenter too as well. This deck is Noma Virus, but having no killer is going to hurt this matchup, and I don't know how many killers Ruben's deck is running. No shuffle back? Yeah, no shuffle back here. I think the card that gets shuffle back is Humanoid often. I think that's a card I've seen Augie shuffle back the most. But here we have the server. It's only 4 credits, so Extract. We'll jam an agenda or an anthill next turn is my guess. Ruben's drawing up. Needing the breakers. Steel's going to draw 2. I think this turn you'll probably let Hoshiko flip out. Your money's pretty good, so you don't necessarily have to, because you can get the leech counter on R&D and you're not worried about touching him a virus. So we're going to touch R&D here and probably play the Banhar. Sure, gamble into Banhar. Cool. Throwing out the Azimuth, fine. Top deck the Masquerade here. So Augie can either draw, but probably just jams the anthill and ices up R&D. So Extract first. We'll Extract the Tithe because now we don't have to ice up HQ because we've dealt with all our agendas. This gets a Spin Doctor, which is awesome. Then we get an Above the Law, which is fantastic once the Banhar is on the table. And then either we can install an ice on R&D, but I think we can put a 3rd ice on server 1 so that we're not that scared about Banhar just beating this for a killer or for a decoder. And that's the play. Masquerade on the outermost. Like, this is just like so fast. This is turn 5 and we're up functionally threatening game point plus Holoman push forward. This is just such cool play. And because this Hoshiko deck, we are an open deck list, so we're not worried about like leaving centrals open. I thought the Hosh flip image was fixed. It might be, but maybe not in replays. It's hard to tell. Banhar is on the remote server. This, we crack the Fermenter, we install the Boomerang on the Fly Swatter and we run this. I don't think I like this play. I think Ruben's a fantastic player, but so I'm always uncomfortable calling this out. But the Boomerang on the Mitra Fly Swatter makes not a lot of sense because this basically guarantees the Mitra will flip. So with this much card draw, with you're assuming ice in the bin, there's no chance that this Boomerang does anything. Now you have to threaten to break this, but this basically forces out the Mitra. So I don't know if this run actually works nearly ever, because you can't beat Mitra Fly Swatter. This is why Mitra is so good. It just beats Boomerang because you just swap this Mitra with something else. Now you have to watch out. There's a Banhar here. So Banhar is also threatening the Fly Swatter. So we're going to res the Maskarovka just to eat the Banhar text. This goes through. You can res the Stavka if you want to. You don't have a real incentive to do this because you're going to need money to score out, so Stavka doesn't get resed. And now we go +3 credits, swap the Fly Swatter, and I think we're going to go for the Afshar because it's the most expensive breaker and it has a face check here. So the Afshar comes in for free functionally, and we return the Fly Swatter to hand, which is also super valuable in this matchup. Afshar fires, runner loses 2, loses a Boomerang, still can contest, runs HQ here. Worst case scenario, you hit the what's it called, the Fly Swatter, which feels bad. Now you can score this out. It costs 4. And I think you can just do this and jam out, but it looks like we're going to Extract first. What do we get rid of here? The Spin Doctor? Just getting rid of the Spin Doctor for 6 credits. No op trigger. We can still Above the Law and we can still push the off the books. Yes, right, of course. So Above the Law shoots the Banhar and we jam the off the books. We're on game point. It is turn 6. This is just so wild. Again, like turn 5. This is turn 5. Don't ice up centrals. The best thing Ruben can do here is like force credits to be spent because you can score out next turn for 4 credits. So you need to force credits. You have to deal with 2 breakers. We have a dead Boomerang. We've lost a Banhar. Has the Buzzsaw install. Perfect top deck. Rising Tide install can contest. That is probably the best draw here. Maybe a Botchus can do something, but now the Stavka is going to fire and Ruben's going to be left with very little board state. But Augie can't score out. Oh, actually, no, Augie can just definitely score out here. So Stavka gets rezzed. You don't have to do any op tricks. If you wanted to, you could trash the Holoman for a Tithe if the deck affords it. There's no more humanoids. So this fires just perfect. ruins all the breaker situation. You jack out of the Afshar. Augie's left with 3 credits. You just advance 3 times. Or credit Hollow Mint, which is cooler. Just like sick. Straight up so fire. Ob has triggered on a lot of the turns, but getting the Rashida into Rashida like obviously is messed up good. That was a 14-minute game in 7 turns. Just so cool. And like every part of the deck list lined up really, really well. I'm not sure, maybe Ruben needs to boomerang the buzzsaw, the fly swatter to do something, but I think that run was kind of doomed. It did force Augie to spend credits as much as Augustus had the extract to bounce back, and I'm glad that Augie, like, it seems like it was right for Augie not to play the extract off for free off the humanoid when he didn't fire the op. But like, just such a cool game. And like, shout out for publishing that. I do think this deck that's probably not on Stargate and just has twinning was going to struggle to build any multi-axis. And so you can't just like leave centrals open and just say, I'm going to jam as fast as possible. Credit perfect ending as much as we had a click left. Anyways, that's the deck we want to play. We're not going to play that as well, I imagine. But like, damn. I saw that. I'm like, wait, this deck looks sick. So you do have some options. It has 18 ice as well. A lot of it just ends the run. And then we have Stavkas, which is scary to play around. We have the single Regolith, which is a bit harder to get because we don't have a virus, so you can't get it consistently. But generally our opening should be Antils or Humanoids. And Antil into Regolith is also a line if you need more credits. Some serious op shit. It's really cool. Stargate will probably do something for this deck. Yes. I think against Stargate, we'd have to ice up R&D for sure. And it's really ugly. Stargate and Disruption is pretty good against op in general. Excuse me. Let's give it a shot. Import deck. Let's go. Nope. All right, I need to blow my nose. Give me 1 second. Ow. No, I thought I had Kleenex back there. I don't. Love to see Afron being real in this meta. I don't know how easy it is to fire Afron in the modern meta. Well, this deck, because it's not playing with virus, but Afron seems real. Like, Rig Destruction is something that's pretty good against the Hoshes. It's really good against criminals. Against Shapers, it's annoying. Hey, this is a list where we want to have viruses if we have it. Best of luck, have fun. All right, so Lou is putting off a lot more pressure on Centrals. This is probably a mulch build, which is going to be a bit of a prison if we can't keep those targets out. So we need to ice up Centrals. We do have 18 ice. This hand, don't think we want it. Double Stavka as our first ice, not great. Sandstone, not great. We don't want the STS or Zato. None of this makes sense. That's a lot better. Shit, that's a lot better. Oh my god, okay. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay. This might be my build, 41 cards. Did you publish it? What can you tell me about this list? Okay, so we have a couple options here. I don't know how to play this. Against Lou, if Lou opens with, what's it called? The thing that trashes things. The little guy. You know the guy, Gourmand. We kind of want to ice centrals. So Masquerovka HQ, Tithe R&D, Hedge Fund's an option. The other options, we can ice up one of our centrals, and then we can just get Humanoid behind the Masquerovka. If the Masquerovka face checks, we shouldn't have the problem, and then we can keep the Hedge Fund for the next turn. So I think we're going to go try and push it. We can also push the Cyber Sand, which is 1 credit more expensive, but it's harder to trash. Humanoid Mass Tithe, yeah, I think I'm going to go for that. I think I'd rather the Masquerovka on HQ, though. I think we, like, I don't know how much we have to ice up HQ versus R&D based off of the pressure. I'm hoping we have a scoring remote server. So I think we'll just do Mask R&D. HQ doesn't have a lot of trashables. I want to protect the Hedge Fund. I think we'll just do Tithe R&D. That's fine. If the Gourmand hits the Hedge Fund, that's the worst case. But like Cyber Sand is very expensive. I don't know if they kept their mold. They kept. That's scary. So if we lose the Hedge Fund, we lose a lot of value off of the Humanoid. We actually probably want to consider icing up HQ as well. Nice, we got our credits. On the basis that we're going to be drawing a lot of cards. So if we draw 2 agendas, it probably would be better. We can use one of the Humanoid installs to ice up HQ, but maybe we want to pre-ice HQ. Cyber Sand, if they trash that for functionally 3 credits, we're not upset. Money's Paladin Keiko. Cool. All right, sick. Let's rip it. Rashida, go. Install a 0 coster. So we could go for spin or we could go for Mitra. I'm going to go for the Mitra. You have to decide this before you draw the cards. In theory, spin allows you to filter your hand, but I don't think we're uncomfortable. So this goes into server 1. So we can install 2 cards here and we can play a Hedge Fund, which feels so good. I think we jam a Cyber Sand, we ice up Masquerovka, and we put a Hedge Fund. Because we can get another Humanoid next turn. I don't know if this is too greedy. But Cyber Sand we crack at the end of their turn to go get another 1-coster. This seems good. We also beat Botulus because we have Mitra. So as long as we have an ice in hand, which we don't anymore, actually. So on their turn, We'll trash this. N6. We'll get another humanoid. We'll put in server 1. And then we start our turn. We can fire it again. And we have another hedge fund. We are flooding, so we should get a spin doctor here. Sick. All right, so we have the fly swatter, which is really good into the matchup. I think here we want to jam and start pushing an agenda. Off the books, Holloman seems pretty good, but I think we want another ice here. We have to pay install cost here, yeah. So we go down to 7 cards, so we discard 2. We can discard the SDS and the Azief, I imagine. But I want to push an off the books. Huh, hollow agenda hedge. I'm worried about single ice. I think Tang can beat single ice, but maybe Mitra cannot be beat. I'm not sure how much ice we need, because Botchless we beat. Yeah, maybe we can do single ice here. We don't have Tucana. Holloman to off the books. Ah, it's really good, though. Yeah, let's try it. We'll be aggressive. And we'll play hedge fund. We'll discard. I'll get rid of this and this. The SDS is good, actually. We want to score a 5-3, so we'll keep the SDS. Yeah, we can FA a 3-2, or we can NA a 3-2. I think we want to get the counter on off the books, because I'll off the books for an antil or a piece of ice. I think we'll actually antil for an ice. If we can jam the SDS from hand. Yeah, this is so sick. I know. It's like we double Rashida'd. It's really good. Yeah, this is like, you can't do this play into Mitra. Like, this play doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It forces the Mitra out, but how do I fire this when the runner approaches? Oh, we trash it. Yeah, it's funny. Like, this is why you make the play. We went up a credit and we trashed a Botulus. Yeah, Tang only with 1 click can't beat this unless it's like, this we definitely don't let this go. And so now we can off the books get a counter, and we have so much money. We could get 2 counters. Problem is we drew every SDS. With 2 counters, we can get an ice here and an agenda, and then we can be on game point. So I'll go for an above the law here. I think we'll get 2 counters. Oh, you can only do this once a turn. Oh, sorry. Sorry, you can't do this twice. We probably could have swapped for another mask and fly swatter the next challenge. Jam DS to counter price. Yeah, I like that a lot better. I thought we could get 2 counters and then we'll get above the law. You could have swapped for another mask. We didn't have another mask though. And so we'll use the off the books, search R&D for a card. We'll just get a barrier. We'll just get a mask. Oh, actually, Kessleroid's a bit better, I think. This can't be trash. It also has 2 end-the-run subroutines. Fuck. No! We should have got another fly swatter. They knew what this is. Wait, they have our SDS, so they're going to lose one of these. I think we still resist for the extract. Object permanence. So if we res this, they use all the Botulus. If we res this, so resing this is not super useful. They had every 3 Botulus in their top cards, so I don't think we were playing around that. They're going to trash one of these. That's okay. We'll jam the next SDS next turn. The worst part is we're losing the Holloman. So if we grabbed a fly swatter, it might have been better, but then we lose to like hard decoder. I guess they didn't have money. Maybe we should play it around hard decoder. Yeah, what are you going to do for sure? I don't think we res this Kessleroid. We already have a 2-coster resed. Zato would have been good too. Yeah, we're going to lose the Holloman though. That's a bad part. So maybe we do install advance. Botchless Chips also beats you there? Yeah, I guess it does. We have Spin and Cyber Sand in hand. Yeah, I don't know if we want it. So either we install the SDS or we do Antil Spin. This is where like you need more reps in the deck to figure out what you want to do. So they know exactly what this is. They can't beat this with Simulchip anymore, but he knows this is a Kessleroid because we showed it with off the books. It might have actually been reasonable to grab a Zato, which is kind of funny, but there's no 1-cost end to run ice. Watcher Chip is a lot of this deck. Yeah, I believe it. So we either could do Antil, and then we could Spin Doctor back the, what's it called when we need it. I think I'm okay with that. I think we'll start with the Spin Doctor, and then we'll just do Antil Zato. Oh, Tucana's good too. This gives us more flexibility. Yeah, I like Antil Zato. Damn, we're gonna win in a couple turns. So that was the double Botchless really got us good. If we went for another fly swatter as an option. I don't know if this list is on Buzzsaw or not. I'm assuming it is. So forcing a res. In theory, we could Zato this. Well, we'll res for 2. I guess because we had a cookbook, we could have just gone for the Maskarovka. It might have been a bit better because if we can extract it. Tranquilizer? Well, that's fine. Afroon's good, so this Kesselroyd's going to go down. No buzz, 2 Audrey, 1 Tithe. Oh, shit. Okay, so Fly Swatter is absurdly good. If you put the HR back, Antil can trash into Cybersand, and then HR next turn. We're going to Antil back for the Holloman next turn. I don't think we're going to go for the Cybersand. We'll just go straight for Holloman. But we will Spin Doctor before this trashes, if it trashes. Which I'm assuming it does. So we could consider trashing this Kessleroid. We don't have an extract. But we could just like hard trash it. I'm okay with it. It gets D-res next turn. At least it's an ice we can res, though. I wish we had slightly more money. We could do Cybersand on the table. Cybersand gets us, I think, a tithe. How many tithes do we have? We have 2 tithes. So Cybersand gets a tithe and keeps him busy. Then we could put another Maskarovka on top of this. I think we don't want to trash the Fly Swatter because we can Zato it. So you actually just want to end the runs. Trash the whole server? No, with Zato, they actually have text. So we don't want to trash the whole server. It plays around Simulchip, which is good, but that's the only thing it plays around. But you actually want the ice because of Zato, even if the ice doesn't feel like it's doing anything. I guess we put a Tucana in there because then we can Antil for the hollow and score off the books. That's probably the play. You might want to ETR on R&D, finally twinning. I think we're going to win sooner than that's going to happen. That's my hope, at least. Like, they have a lot of work to get all that stuff down. Running the Spin Doctor? Yeah, okay. So we'll put back in the Hollowman, which we'll grab back this turn. I think, like, there's a chance Mitra is just this good in the matchup that I'll go for it. It might be nice to have a humanoid, though. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, they're running this. So we were as the Maskarofa for credit. A Stavka would totally fix the situation, too. That's a risky face check. Stavka just fixes all of this. Yeah, Mitra's really good. It does cook all the Trojan stuff. I kind of want to do it. So we Antil for a Hollowman. I think we just score this. Then we can go Tucana. So very importantly, that Fly Swatter does not do anything unless it's during a run. So we can get just an ice on R&D. This remote server we can push next turn. We have an economy issue. We definitely have an economy issue. So we can go get like a free tithe. We can pay a bit for Sandstone. We pay 1 for Sandstone. That's fine. Cybersand is money. Maybe we keep Cybersand. Stavka, you generally want to keep your Stavkas to like surprise res. Because I think getting a Stavka on the table is just ice. Right? Like Stavka is a lot better either when it's trashing something or it's 7 strength. You also want to use it sometimes to do op stuff. There's the twinning, okay. And then they charge it with Simulchip. Okay, so Simulchip is going to be hard to play around. So we install SDS click for 2. They have to be able to break this. So they can Simulchip the Tranquilizer for this. Sandstone's basically the same as Fly Swatter, except they're having a Swatter for Reg Res. So I think we have to get our Anthill up. We want to make sure we always Zato credits, because whatever they Simulchip for, like we just Zato it down. So I think we do Anthill first, and then we jam the SDS. Because we're going to have to res the Zato, so we won't have money, I think. SDS click for 2 doesn't score, no. We're short, so I think we have to get money first. They're definitely going to run this. Unless they do the math wrong, because we cannot score out here. If we want to SDS out or 5-3 a Hollowman, it costs us 6 credits. We only have 5. Purging actually was not unreasonable. Maybe we should have purged. Oh, Audrey with the counter is cool. But the thing is, like, at instant speed, we can go get a Maskarovka. So we'll just read this through. The remote is kind of wild. It's really hard to get through. They put a lot of resources on it. I think we just let this through. It's 1 and 5 for the SDS. They have 2 runs on it. I don't want to go down. Yeah, I don't res this. How many of my viruses list have? Unfortunately, none. Oh, they see 2. Okay, fine. Okay, so we have to decide when to do it. They're running last click. So thinking. I need to think. So if we res the Zato, we can't Antil. If they break the Maskarovka and we res the Kessleroid, they have to deal with the Kessleroid. That'll leave us on 2 credits. But then they have to simulchip for the Kessleroid. We can Zato for the Maskarovka, get a Fly Swatter, which like stops a lot of their stuff. It's not that great though. I want to keep it for this scoring jam. What happens if they get in here? How bad is it even? Like we want to keep the Zato Maskarovka for when they run this with the Audrey. Because they can always flicker the Audrey. But then they have a problem here. So we have to think what to do here. We're like slightly short on credits. If we had 1 more credit, this would be easy because we can Zato and Antil. But if we res the Kessleroid, can they break it? The Summon Purge is nice. It is, but it's a very valuable tool for us. Because right now the Summon Purge doesn't matter. It matters only if they're going to run through this or on the turn this. But I think we just let them Audrey through the Maskarovka. They have 6 credits? No, we have to stop this, I think. We can get a 2-coster, so it has to be the Audrey, the Fly Swatter. And then they struggle, yeah. They chip and botch us back, but then they can't get through the Fly Swatter. So I think we have to Zato and it buys them a turn. One runner encounters, okay. I'll try this. We'll trash the mask, we'll get the Fly Swatter. This purges out everything. Oh my god, we can gain credits off of this? I think we gain credits off of this. That's so funny. Oh, but it goes behind them. Oh, wait a second. Oh, that's fine. That's totally fine. Not great. We could have ended the run. Continue? So we res the Kessleroid, we're on 2. We can't res the Antil. So they have to flicker to get through the server. They'll chip the botches, yeah, for sure. Or the Audrey. So I think if we res this, we can keep the server, but then we can't trash ice. Nah. That's a cool thing too, is there's an agenda in here. You can always like trash a 1-coster to go get a Spin Doctor on top of this. Shit, we're 1 credit short. So we functionally purged. I think we just click for 3. Afroon in hand sucks. If we had a Afroon on the table, it'd be pretty good, but you can always just simulchip to duck the Audrey. So this server next turn they can't deal with. They have to run centrals. So I think we just click 3 and throw out the Antil so they don't have a trash. Can we jam the STS? No. Yeah, the Mitra would be really good. Okay, they're trashing Steel Skin to draw 2 from Audrey. Oh, right, they can botchless the server. No, it's not easy. Having a virus in this list would help this matchup a lot, but we already have a lot of tools. Zato is really good into botchless. But our 2 Fly Swatters, we want to get 1 back into the deck, but we have no more spins. Oh, we have 1 more spin in the deck, excuse me. He's digging. This card's so good. It's so absurdly good. Obviously, grabbing an instant speed makes it even better. But like, if we just get enough end runs, right? Like, Tank has to run this 4 times a turn because we can just like totally end every run with Zato. That's the wild thing. If we put 4 end the runs, if you don't have a pinhole threading, which this deck might be on a pinhole threading, that server is like locked down. It still looks like an agenda because we didn't res. Tank is playing? Yeah. Terrence, how's it going? What do you mean? It's 1 pinhole? Okay. Pinhole beats us. But if you pinhole this, yeah, that beats us pretty bad. I do think we're going to want another ice here. It's probably going to be the F-Rune, but the F-Rune, I guess you just Audrey through it. Because F-Rune can stop 1 card from breaking subroutine. So in theory, we actually can pick the botchless that's on the Fly Swatter. I haven't seen him in like 8 years. Oh, Tank's been playing consistently on GameNET. I think we run into Tank like not unoften. Do you want a link? Oh, it's all right. Maybe after. Well, David wants it. Yeah, there you go. Nuka? Okay, that's fine. Strike Fund, throwing it out. Okay. With the chip on the table, I don't think 1-2 is going to keep. No, we're going to need basically Zato and all the end runs. Antil first. Okay, we don't need that. Move Hollow Mint to another server. No. Choose a stream. Which op flavor is this? This is Augie's list. It's like scoring out with Mitra and Humanoid. It's pretty cool. It's like efficiency build. How you doing, JM? So we can install on top of this. It got eaten. Cannot see the link. So if we install the SDS and click for 2, so what's the line? You need a trick to deal with the fly swatter. That's for sure. We can Zato it. So you can do pinhole run, and then you just need pinhole. You can flicker the Audrey. No, you need a trick. You need a pinhole, trick, run. We lose to that. I think we're okay with that. In theory, tank can flicker the tranquilizer. No shot, Radish. All links will be fed to Audrey. Yeah, it did not come through. No, just thinking. I think we push the SDS and click 2. I think we just need to go a bit faster. If this goes through, we'll just jam out 3-2s, I think. I don't think we need 2 stuff, guys. So Tang has some work to do this turn, for sure. Pinholing the Holloman also is like a totally legit play. Okay. So every time that Tang spends a click, it's 1 more Zato trigger. So Tang needs a way to deal with Zato, because now you can't run the server, because every card here has an end to run, which means Zato, and we can get a 1-coster. In theory, we reserve the 1-coster for the last, not that we have a 1-coster installable, but if we have a humanoid, we have a humanoid in the deck. So last click, if Tang finally challenges this, we can always fly swatter Zato to get a 1-coster, put the 1-coster in server 1, trashing the drone deployment, and hope we get a spin doctor. All right, we're running centrals, cool. Is there a kill thread that Lou has respect? If Tang knows the list, no. Cool, just drawing. Chip loop on Netrunner DB. Cool. You also can probably grab it if you go to David. If you go to the Always Be Running page for Pittsburgh, it's in the public deck list there. Radish came in, I want to say 3rd. We have 1 click. I don't think we can lose. Pinhole, actually, no. Pinhole beats Holloman. We don't lose to that. We just don't win if that's the last click here. Okay, that's game. 4th? Oh, excuse me. We got blown up by the double botchless, but like, God, the lines are sick. Lines are really cool. Take a game. Yeah, the pinhole like buys a turn. Thanks, you too. That early double botchless was wild. But like, oh my god, you're flying. That was 11 turns, so it can go faster than that. We were on track if we didn't get double botchless to score out by turn 5 or 7, somewhere between there. But yeah, he had the double botchless, which is sick. We have SDS here, we have Tucana. Didn't find the Banhar or the Rising Tide. Ah, beans. Until bottom 14, yeah. I'm scared of the... Yeah, c'est la vie. No kill and all, but yeah, just rig shooter and tempo crimes. Just speed and good ice. Yeah. It happens. Thanks for the game. But those early like aggression turns are so good. I'm assuming if someone like pinholes our stuff, we just like totally fall apart because we lose our Rashida. But you do have a lot of like Rashida redundancy. Let's do it again. This is the thing is like, so Tang there put the botchless on the fly swatter and ran it, knowing that we have a Mitra. And I can't tell whether you have to flush out the Mitra or whether that's a bad play. There's a chance that flushing out the Mitra is correct, but like there's no shot that run makes sense. Like as in a successful run. Is this the first good scoring corp in the meta? No, I don't think so, Carrie. OTG was won 2 weekends ago by the front page Iswak, which didn't drop a game, I don't think. Hey, Cody, good game. Great list. Odd Radish. Yeah, Odd Radish was like, is this my list? And I think figured it out. Hey, best of luck. Have fun. So not that much Sable at the event. So I don't think any of the replays were against Criminal. But Criminal has a rig destruction problem. But wants to run centrals. And so it's actually going to put on central pressure. So we need to ice up centrals. This is a lot harder because the anthill is not guaranteed because of boomerang or pinhole. It's more likely we lose this. SDS is pretty good against Sable in general. Some Sables have redundancy, but they have Chesvas, maybe leeches. And so like the SDS doesn't always trade for a program. This hand has no econ besides the anthill, which anthill into tree line is a bit risky. We'd want a mass growth. I'm going to mulligan this. That's fine. Is the honest Iswak going to get a play on Metropole Grid? Yeah, for sure. We always play the deck list of the week, but on Thursday. I'm looking forward to it. as much as I'm not a huge Iswak fan. I'm a big Wenjong fan. All right, so we have a Sandstone for HQ. We can put a Cyber on the table. If they trash it, they trash it. We can start with a Spin Doctor here to get more options. In terms of raw econ here, we have 3 hedge funds, 3 extracts. 6 is a bit low for a consistent, what's it called? Humanoid, but it's not bad. So I think we just do Sandstone, Spin Doctor, Cybersand. I think we just do Sandstone, Cybersand, Credit. If they run this last click, you can always just trash it and install the one coster in a different server, and they're not running that server, so I don't think we mind. Hey, Jolin, I'm a Wenjong fan because they're an Iswak fan. Yeah. All right, if we... This is not the mark. If we res, we go down to 3 credits. If we don't res, they can shoot one of these cards. They're all pretty good cards. Actually, no, they can't trash this. We let this run through. We don't care. Options. So stoked to meet and play Wenjong at OTG. Was a thrill meeting so many awesome folks. Hell yeah. That was the most vanilla card they could have seen there. I don't know why they installed the open market first. I guess they're playing around Afshar. So if they want to trash that for 4, they can. If they don't, we're happy. But if they do, we're not unhappy. That's a lot of money. Cool. Carpe for free? Okay. We definitely want to get some ice. Luckily, we have 18 ice. Clean gateway R&D. We're not getting deep dove, but they did run everything. Cool. They know even extract. Okay. Good to know. Let's get some options first. Boomy on remote server, I'm not a big fan of, but we have to do something with the Antil. We could install and res a Tucana, but the problem is none of our ice ends to run. Every 2K is a Bladderwort player? Oh, well, I'm just going to smile. We're not a Bladderwort, but they don't know. I think Boomy on R&D is good enough. It's like one of these subroutines might matter, but we just make sure R&D mark is not free. I just want to do something with extract that's better than what we're doing here. We can draw once because we have the spin. I think we just ice up. We can't ice up both central, so we're gonna discard a card here. Sorry, I thought we had another click. I don't love discarding a card here. Tucana is definitely very valuable in this matchup to bottom down things. Tithe for archives makes sense. Extract for 6 is fine. I think it's probably the Mitra, because we can shuffle the Mitra back if the Spin Doctor gets challenged. It's better in our deck than anywhere else. Rig Shooter Ob Pog? Yeah, Mitra, how's it going? It's like also like tempo oriented, which is kind of cool. HQ is the mark, fine. There are 9 agendas and 39 cards. Weird opening. This means they can deal with SDS, which is good, but also means like if we have Winchesters or something, at least they can trace into it. All right, I guess we're gonna res this. So much for our money. This does not feel like good tempo. We are on the back foot. The Boomy actually has teeth. Imagine they play a run event into R&D and flatline. Ugh. Do not like that at all. And we just put this on archives and click for credits. I don't like it as much as the next person, but what else are we doing here? Stream flickering? No, Turdock, I'm seeing the flickering too. I think you're seeing actually my capture. It's not the stream. My Firefox is flickering. I can't seem to notice it on my OBS, but I'm seeing it on Firefox. I probably should just reset my whole Firefox, but then it shuts down the other stream stuff, so I can't. Just extract it? Oh yeah, right. We should extract the sandstone. Yeah, that flicker I saw. It's pretty bad. Yeah, we should extract the sandstone for a Mass Grove guy. I think we'll do that for money. Why are we turtling? Well, I think we need to ice up centrals. We can extract the Spin Doctor as well, but we probably will. Okay, that was good. I don't know why they're running archives. I guess checking? Does that Cybersand do anything? It's to trash to get a 1-coster at instant speed, so we can get a humanoid resources. Carmen's fine. Carmen breaks Boomy for 4. At least 2 of that is Chesva credits. Okay, so we can do Cybersand on the table. We can extract the sandstone for a 2-coster. Maybe you look like you're flooded, yeah, but then you can run the Spin Doctor, I guess. It wasn't even their mark. Because if they run the Spin Doctor, we always pop it. If they run archives, we don't always. They want us to spend money. I think we extract the Spin Doctor, put a Spin Doctor and a Cybersand on the table and pass. We can extract the Sandstone for a Maskarovka. Sorry, for the one I don't like. I want to make sure we don't just lose to thinking to transfer. Because Boomerang transfer is pretty bad. Oh, it was for Carmen discount? Yeah, you're right. It was for Carmen discount. That's worth something. Yeah, I think we just do extract, install spin, install Cybersand. Shuffle for Mitra. I think I'd rather just have the 6 credits here because we need to get 2 ice on remote. I wanted the Tithe on Archives. I think the Tithe on Archives is reasonable against Sable. I know with the Chesva, but like having an ice on Archives helps a bit, right? Like, because now they're losing their Chesva credits. Maybe not the most important. I just don't think the Mitra does anything on this table. So the buy bans gets a lot worse when you honestly pay for it. Maybe they install Class Act or something here with open market. But like this game is not going fast on either side of the table. Maybe we should keep the extract because we're expecting to Cybersand into the other one. I'll have to use this one. Spin Doctor, Extractor, Mitra. We'll do Mitra. Mitra's fun. So if this was last click, we could put this in a different server, but I'd rather them spend 4. HRO fix our game? Yeah, it could. This has been such a slow game. We're on 4 credits next turn. Tree line's good. We could do Antil, Tree line, Tithe on HQ. That's fine. A boomerang probably exists at this point, but it's okay. I just don't want to get blown out by boomerang transfers, so we're going to put a second ice on HQ. Transfer is probably the most impactful card here. NFL, okay. Again, they do still think we're Bladderwort. We got Tree line for 3, which is good. We haven't seen the console, but getting this res is also not bad. Was that the ob horn? You heard that? That's from outside. All right, now we're going to start to flood up a bit. So this also makes Pinhole a bit more ugly. It's not bulletproof, of course, and we probably have agendas in hand, which we do. I think we want to draw once here. We can drop a Kessleroid. This will become a 2-coster, so unfortunately the Toucan is in hand. This face check helps us more than it hurts. Yeah, I don't mind this face check. It also gives us a resed card, which is good for extract. I think we just double ice this, and then we can push next turn, so we can do ice, install, and install the Tucana. We can also install the Azyef, which might be better, but I think we want the Tucana because we still have a lot of building to do. If we install the Hollow Man, we could fast event the Azyef next turn, trashing the Tithe for like a spin. Until it fetches Descent to force 2 different breakers. I don't think this list has a Descent, but it has a Fly Swatter, which is also totally fine. We'd probably grab a Tucana. I don't think, if we want to be very luxurious, we can also grab a Regolith and just empty the Regolith. I'm not 100% sure. Double Chess was frightening. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Be right back. Sorry about that. It was the doorbell. It's my partner's birthday next week, so there's stuff coming in that she cannot intercept, so we have to duck out for that. What happened? Open market? Okay, so we can maybe push next turn. They have 6 credits next turn plus 3 with NFL. Drawing the half run's not good. Search for a 2-coster. I think we just want to get a code gate and push the remote server. Fly Swatter for free is pretty good. Hedge one's good. Feels like another Antil in hand. Getting a Regolith is slow. Yes, but I think we're going to push an agenda here. Because I value the damage, I value the Tucana. So I think we just do Hollowman as you have Hedge Fund. We also are beating, it seems, I'm out of breath. A potential Hermes. That's good. So we'll see what they do there. Tree line's expensive to break, so we're really forcing out a Fractor. All their money's on Centrals, though, so I think their play is like Hermes Centrals. See what happens. They look like they're just playing a reg good list. We've seen no influence so far, so they could just be on deep dive. Oh no, we've seen Biobands. Pinhole, that's a hard pinhole, so just full random. We're not going to res anything. I think we should push the SDS. Oh my god, you're totally right. Yeah, we could have done the SDS into Carmen. 100% we should push the SDS. Yeah, I think you're right. No matter what, we're relatively happy. Yeah, I like that line a lot better. Let's see what they touch. They know that Tucana is an upgrade. They don't know the other two. They hit Tucana. Okay, feel bad about it. Yeah, if we hit the SDS here, it's really, really good for us. Wake. Oh, never mind. We're going to win. Sorry, Mitra, results-oriented thinking. We win. Hey, GG. Yeah, they didn't keep cards in hand. Yeah, I don't think they played around it. Thanks for the game. No, they're gone. You would win even if you pushed the SEF? Yeah, yeah. Destroying the Carmen is like not great. We didn't do ob stuff there. We didn't consider what we should trash. We would have thought about it, but they had one card in hand. So yeah, if we scored at the SDS, it's really bad because they lose the Carmen. It's only a bit more expensive. But it's still very good because they don't have the Carmen and we have sentries on most servers. Quick chat, check GameNET chat. What do you mean, Spiral? Oh, like main chat? No, you don't go in there. It's terrible. You don't go in there. It's awful. They should just remove it. It's a really bad place. Yeah, that's the kill threat. I do think against against the Wayland in general, having two cards in hand is good. You do think Azief is really common in op, so you want to keep two cards in hand. It happens all the time though. Even at high tables, sometimes people just like lose to Azief because they're just like, you know, coasting. I think I've died to Azief before. Hey, let's see some Az. Yeah, Lost My Thumbs did well at the event. Playing Az deck. I don't know what the list is. Super excited to see the Az. Thanks, you too. All right, Az, very good at delivering boomerangs. I don't know much more about the list, what it's doing. I haven't seen a lot of Az in the modern elevation meta, but Chezva's running centrals. That's where all the value is. So we want to isoball centrals. This hand's probably not it. Afron is just an end the run. And I don't think we're expecting a barrier code gate that early. The border boomerang does beat it, but we have no ice for HQ, so we don't get transfer blown out. I think Lost My Thumbs was talking about in chat, though, cutting transfers. The hand otherwise has a hedge fund. So if we draw one piece of ice, we're happy, but you can't double ice Antil and play hedge fund in the same turn. That's just 4 clicks. So I think we'll consider keeping this hand. It's not bad. SDS is fine in the early game. Boomerang doesn't beat a last click. I guess that's true. It doesn't beat a last click, but we have to discard a card from hand. Okay, that's perfect. So we have to decide where to put the mask. I think Afron on HQ is really funny if they commit a boomerang to it. I think we can try that. It's not my favorite line. We could do Afron, Maskarovka, Antil, and then we hold the hedge fund for next turn. If we get boomerang transferred, we have to res the Afro, and then we're on 3. If hit a bunch of crimp breakers with Azief, yeah. Against op, I do think you want to get your breakers on the table if you're scared. The fork is between Stavka and Azief, and it's a legitimate fork that is takes some experience to appreciate. Yeah, we'll try it. This is a bit aggressive. I think the safer play would be ice up centrals and see what we're up to. I think this list is also likely on pinholes, as usually drinks 2 or 3 coffees. So I think that's been a big change I found over the last week. I've stopped drinking coffee altogether because my stomach is bad and my energy is so much worse. And I don't know if it's entirely just because my stomach is not good or because coffee doesn't exist anymore. The SDS and HQ is also totally safe. So like some transfers get annoying here. Cool, Penny Tower. Boomerang. So if we put these in the other order, we would have got our breaker. Resing the Maskarovka is not terrible because it forces the boomerang out and we can extract it. Otherwise we can extract it and not get a 2-coster, but this is pretty good for us. If we had the Afron, we could have made the play here. But we'll just go get a 2 thing. We're also really good with envelopments. Oh, sorry. Sorry, do you mind if I res? I was to res. Do you mind? Fork of installing cards because of Azief versus not because of rig shooting, because that blah blah is so funny to me. Yeah, it's a good fork. Thanks. I can't drink coffee after I got COVID because the caffeine absolutely wrecks me now. Oh, sorry to hear. I take it it's just everything, not just coffee, right? So sometimes stranding a boomerang is good, but I don't think we have an extract play if we don't. In theory, we could have just hedge funds. Maybe that's fine. This is functionally free because of Penny Shaver. But now we can go get credit extract for a 2-coster. It's pretty bad. It's not actually that good. I think we have to do it though. We don't want to draw because we have a 1 in 42 chance of drawing our 2-coster. We could grab a Regolith. That's also not great. I don't know if I like this. We'll go for the Kessleroid. And I think we put the Tucana in that because if they run it, it's fine. I've also been off of coffee recently. I chose to replace it with energy drinks, which is a much worse decision. Greg, that's such a bad decision. Ow, I know there's probably some more reasonable energy drinks, but that sounds like a terrible trade. Running for a single penny shaver, icing up centrals would be pretty reasonable. I get heart palpitations, anxieties through the roof. Oh, that's rough. Sorry to hear that. Looks like it's a trashable here. Maybe an expensive one. Yeah, wow, an expensive one. Cyber Sand. We would have liked to draw that. It is a consistent card. They're going back, so they can't trash anything here. We still have 8 agendas and 40. Now they take the cyber. This nice penny shaper and a class act. So that's their plan to run no matter what. We would love this if it was a humanoid or an antil. Unfortunately, it's not. I wonder if we should have baited out the first boomerang and installed not the cyber sand and installed some garbage. Okay, he knows we're on this. We could jam the SDS, but not realistically. We could do install advance. So he needs to get a breaker down, get money, and push. But if we score the SDS with no trigger, it's really bad. Because Tucana to SDS costs 7. I don't think we do it. I think we just need to get ice on RD because he's very happy to penny shaver us. So we want to draw for like a Maskarovka. I mean, that's fine. Don't like what's going on here. That's not good either. I guess we just put this on RD. This turn sucked. Energy drinks are the one truly degenerate advice I'm willing to engage in. Everyone gets one. Yeah, man, it's fine. I'm just hoping for the best for you. It could be worse, that's for sure. It could be eating glass. I don't like our board state. Stavka on the remote server also is not particularly potent. Like, we just want to force out a breaker so that our cards have text. But we're not doing any op stuff here. I think if we got the antil off and we played the early game, it's like such a difference. Like, you're so dependent on your first assets. I wonder if the Afrin play was right. Because we lose to boomerang remote way worse than anything else. I didn't try the RL Diesel Worlds. I gotta ask her how it was. I took a sip. It was sweet. It was very sweet. Oh, this is fine. This loses to boomerang hard, but like, what are we gonna do? We actually could Stavka for trash the Tucana. The problem is we don't have one at cost and the run ice in the format anymore, so you can't like Stavka the Kessleroid to get anything. We could Stavka the Kessleroid to get a 1-cost installable on the server, like a humanoid. But Az hasn't found coffee, hasn't found, well, not on Masterwork apparently. We're on Penny Shaver, so I wonder if we're on Prague as well. Az has fired twice so far this game. It's turn 4. Kurapira? Oh, okay, the Stavka's sick now. Okay, yeah, it is job connection Az. That makes sense. But now, like, face checking actually is legitimately scary. At least that they can get lost to Aziev, which is good. I guess we Aziev the Kessleroid for a tithe. Are we saying I've learned something about Crim? They can't always have boomerang and pinhole? No, sometimes. Selling the class act. So we'll just res the fly swatter. It gives us another thing that we can trash because I'd rather trash this fly swatter. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a red team deck. So we actually could get a tithe on archives. So the remote server will start to fall apart, but we know this is a red team list. Yeah, Aziev Tucana for ties is probably, oh, we have Tucana and Aziev. I think we Aziev the Kessleroid for tithe and get another end the run on server 2. I think that's better for us. Because we need to jam the SDS soon. I think we just get a Swatter for tithe. No, I think we're going to do Kessleroid for tithe. We'll get a new ice here. I think it's much better for us. We'll see what the damage is first. I guess we can't. Never mind. We have to trash first. So we'll trash the Kessleroid. We'll get a 1-coster. We'll get, oh, humanoid's also interesting, but we can't put it in server 2 because the agenda's still there. It's like really awkward. So we'll put this on archives to stop red team. Then we'll do the Aziev damage. We hit another Kurapira and a Carmen, so there's double breakers. So at least we got one of them. And then we can put something else on the remote server. So I think we'll just get a cheap barrier. So I think it's a Maskarovka. Don't have a lot of credits. Augie Ob. Really cool list. Shout out to Augie for including the replays. Yeah, we know that he's going to be on red team, so like we want to ice up all centrals as much as this is not taxing. We lost to Carmen, but you can't keep going through tithe. He wants to make one good run a turn too. It's pretty good. It's really fun. This has been their worst opening, I think, so far. But like we've like been very close to the turn 7 win. I think Criminal has been a lot harder for that. Shiba, okay. So R&D is functionally free. With the Penny Shaver. I just don't think you have a good knickknack here. I'm not convinced this card is good. Like, what are you knickknacking? Nothing. So this is just a credit for an access last click. I don't think we mind. Never mind, it was awful. All right, what are we doing? We have a money problem. I think we can draw. We have 2 Antilles, 1 Cyber Sand, 2 Humanoids. So we can draw once for sure. If we get an Extract, we have an option. Knickknack is pretty good. I'm not sold. I guess we just do this. I don't know. I'm not sold. I think it's a lot of work. And a lot of influence. It's only bad compared to Aesop's. Well, like, I don't think you play Aesop's on Az. So that was click Penny Shaver to do this, yeah. So that's not incredibly efficient. We have 12 points here. If we trade the off the books, unfortunately we'll be on game points, but we'll probably destroy these 2 breakers, which has an impact. I guess you could boomerang the Stavka. I mean, cool. Popping Stone Ship before Class Act is sick. So what are we getting on Centrals? Shibboleth on HQ is pretty reasonable here. Sorry, not Shibboleth, Afshar. R&D being our soft server, I don't think we care. There's like no points in it. I think we do Afshar on HQ. Are we issues we don't have money. Sorry if the stream has like weird boxes and stuff. I see it on my side. Takes too much setup? Yeah, I think it does. Like, it hasn't fired. The fact that it's the first run too is like very awkward. It's very awkward. I think pressuring the run to Stavka, yeah, which is why I want something that is not. Okay, this is a problem for us. I don't know why they click the Penny Shaver. I think they're going to run with Chesva. He's going to run with Chesva, so I don't think he clicked the Penny Shaver. I think, yeah, the Penny Shaver click was not necessary because we have Chesva. Oh, because you want to trash the Penny Shaver. Okay, never mind. That makes sense now. As much as I don't know if that makes sense. Because, like, it feels good, but you lose value. Like, that Penny Shaver would have given you 2 credits. It's like clicklessly 3 in a card instead of having a Penny Shaver the rest of the game. I don't fully get it. Seeing 2 on twinning is a problem. He's been tunneling the heck out of R&D, and it's been surprisingly working even though we're flooded. So unfortunately, it's all about the trash to humanoid. Probably has another Penny Shaver. Oh, guaranteed. Guaranteed. We just don't have economy. Trashing the Cyber Sand has really hurt us. Man, I wish the Afron was on the remote. Like, what do we do here? Twinning loses on HQ more often than not. Yeah, Tunnel R&D and win against this Ob deck is not the worst plan. They can't win off a 1 agenda on R&D though. No, that's true. But I think we need to leave R&D open. I just don't want to have a jam here. The problem now is we can't jam the S. No, we just need to click for 3 credits. We'll see if transfer like really messes us up, but we can res the HQ eyes. Like now we install a red team and then we're going to knick-knack the red team immediately. Because you can't red team and knick-knack. So we just lost the open market. I mean, that was not bad because you emptied most of the credits off of it. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we really need to top deck something, but they're trashing Centrals. If they use 2 twinning counters, I think we're happy. Never mind. Jesus. There's only 1 agenda and 24 cards, chat. Trash another end deal. There's 1 agenda and 24 cards. 6, 7, 8, 10. Literally 1 agenda and 24. Luckily, our opponent is tunneling R&D, and it looks like it's working out, but that should not have been 2 points. Oh my god. Like, I don't want to ice up R&D because it's like the best thing we've got going for us. The issue is like boomerang run remote server, we lose. What do we do when they're on game point? Like, I'm okay pushing an agenda and saying that they can steal it, but not when they're on 6 points off of R&D. Thinking. Like, I don't want to ice R&D because it's so unlikely they win off of it. Draw here? Yeah, we probably want to. I just don't know what we draw into. An extract would be good. Oh, that's great. So we need to do double Stavka. They have one more killer. If it's a revolver, I think that's the worst case for us. But we need to push the SDS, so we have to figure out how to get into a Holloman. Boomerang Remote and IDAA. I think we want to do like Maskarovka. We'll trash the Stavka. Yeah, it was a good top deck. We would have liked an Extract though. Flood happens? I wouldn't say that's flood. That was just 9 points. That's just 3 agendas. There's a Carmen. Okay. So unfortunately, that's okay. Now we lose. Oh no, they used their twinning. So no, we lose 100%. No, we lose 60%. We could Afron, but it doesn't do anything because they have one of each breaker. So we res the Afron and say you have to use Shibboleth. They break for 3. If they break with 3 no matter what. So it doesn't matter. We'll res it just because it costs money. Oh, sorry, Nan. I'll let you out 1 second. You can go. Go get your food. Go. On your way. Bye. All right, that's it. Oh, never mind. We're good. Res Afron to throw out an agenda. I mean, it doesn't really change the odds. Going from 60 to 50, I don't think is worth it. And then we don't draw a Spin Doctor. Should trash an agenda? I don't think so. It's like we're going to lose on Archives. They're a red team deck. I think we just have to take the risk. Luckily, he only has 3 credits, but the problem is now Knick-Knack's going to look good because the minimum you run R&D and you gain 5 in a card. I don't think trash agenda is that good because we can't save it. And like red team decks do run Archives, especially after you do that on an HQ run last click. I guess we just shoot the twinning. So we can do above the law. Stavka drops us to 6. Yeah, that's probably it. Credit. We could have had another card there. Do you get him to run a Stavka? Yeah, not really. Well, maybe. It's very expensive for Carmen. Stavka R&D, I want him to run R&D. I want him to use his twinning counter on R&D. R&D is the honey bot. I don't want to make it worse. Admittedly, if we got a Stavka on R&D, it'd feel pretty good. This also allows us to fire Ob, which is interesting, because then we can trash like the fly swatter for a tithe. Doesn't really change. This just gets broken. I mean, it's hard. Like you have to break Maskarovka and the Stavka. That's expensive. Like this is 6, this is 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, never mind. He's gonna have all the money in the world. Yeah, Knick-Knack. So like probably, but at least we can trash this and get into Archives and hope. We can trash the tithe to get a Spin Doctor, so we'll be okay. If he runs a remote server, we still have options. Because we get a Spin Doctor, right? There's only one agenda in our team there. Using a twinning, sing 2 cards. Yeah, if he runs a remote, it's fine. He spends a lot of money, and we just get a Spin Doctor. Yeah, that's the cool thing about Stavka. So I think he has enough money to do this, but we have to do this or we lose. Yeah, Spin Save is sick. This fixes our hand too, but I actually want to keep the agendas in hand. So it's 6 for this. If he keeps going, it's an option. Looks like he's not. Now, unfortunately, next turn, this is server only cost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breaking half run with the Fractor actually did make sense because Kurapira charges. There's some value to that. Could have like blanked the Kurapira. It's the same cost as Shibboleth at the end of the day. Would Mitra have done anything? No. No. Because if we swap the Maskarovka with Envelopment, like Mitra's good because we can do a Stavka refresh. But the Mitra, okay, maybe it does. So we swap the Maskarovka with Envelopment, then you have to break that. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, maybe use a credit short, actually. Oh, this is really bad. At least we have cards in hand. Yeah, the Mitra's actually was worth considering. I wouldn't have had the envelopment since you drew it from the spin. Oh, that's true. Yeah, it would be Massacre for Fly Swatter. Yeah, okay, never mind. That doesn't make any sense. Should break with Courtier here for sure. That's bad for us. And it's not likely we survive this. Never mind. Built different. Maybe that's the cool thing about Knickknack is like we think we have a window, but next turn you class act for on Knickknack. Money? I think we have to go for money. I think we have to push money here. I want to get the Hoff-Run back in the deck. Never punished? That's not a punish. That's just not unlucky. We weren't punished. Like, punished means you made a mistake. I don't think we made a mistake. So we need to spin back in the above the law, and I'm assuming the Holloman. We can push the humanoid in the remote server, and I want to keep the SDSs in hand because he keeps whiffing. So that's 1, 2. That's just one click. Another ice on R&D makes a bit of sense. Archives run is fine. Docklands is like a bit scary, but the server is like not that bad. It's like kind of bad. The cool thing with Chesva is you can't fully duck the Afro, so you can't Afshar for no value. The Afshar always fires, thinking. But I do think we have to push in the server the humanoid and hope that that builds a board state. A Mitra on the Stavka server would be pretty sick, but then we can't put our Stavka on R&D. Do we have a Stavka in the bin? Oh, we do have a Stavka in the bin. So actually Mitra is fine. We don't need Stavka in hand. I just worried if we put another ice here, it'll make HQ softer. We definitely push HR. I'm just wondering what we do with the rest of the turn. I think we have to get humanoid back in, or sorry, Holloman back in and above the lot. Just say that's enough. So we push this for sure. It's all about the SDS. So we need to get the Holloman on the table and the SDS. If we Stavka breakers, we win. If we put this on R&D and click for a credit, it's like not that great. Luna, how's it going? It's Netrunner. It's always been. How you doing? So next turn, he'll have 4 credits with the class act. And Chesva. So R&D is, there's points in R&D. Now there's 2 and 17. If we click this on R&D, click for credit, I mean, it's an option. Oh, we can't res it. Never mind. I did the math wrong. I don't like this ice. I think running HQ makes more sense for our opponent with Docklands twinning. Issues if we want to jam the humanoid, we can't use the spin doctor to save the SDSs, but I've liked them in hand so far. Probably runs archives here to fire Knickknack. On 3, I don't think you're too scared of the face check. Issues after humanoid, if we don't jam in the remote server, you likely I think we need to draw Mitra. Games in HQ? Yeah. I don't like the R&D ice. It might have been better to ice archives. And honestly just put Stavka on archives. And then we'd be on 4 credits. Might be considering running the remote server. I think there's some that could be fair too. The remote server, this costs 3 at the minimum. This costs 4, 5. So you can like credit, run the remote server Knickknack, but you need credits for Tucana, and you're assuming this costs at least a credit. Okay. Stone Ship, popping that on his turn, so his class act is dealt with. How many bravados do we have left? 2. 2 getaways as well. So icing R&D archives is actually worth something. So the thing with Stavka is we need to trash a 3-coster. Because if we thrash a 3-coster, we can get a Holloman. And that's probably how we get out of this. We hope that they run Centrals. If you run Centrals on a last click, we can get a Holloman on top of an SDS or something. But we don't have Seamless or Nano or Slash. So like SDS, we have to either double advance or hope that we get a Holloman. Or have a Holloman. I'm assuming this deck's on pinholes too. Yeah. That's the bad run for us. Might have just wanted to put this ice there. The Gender Density on RD has doubled, so it's a bit riskier. Where does money go? Oh, into the Bravado. Oh, okay, so I don't think he makes us run if we have 1 more credit, because that's hella risky. But now his money's really good. So he's going to C2 here. And we have 2 agendas in 17, so still good odds. Trash and Antil. So who knows the next card? Up on 9 suddenly. Yeah, it's hard to keep the Knickknack down. Eventually he'll run out of stuff, right? If we had 1 good mid-range code gate, we'd feel like we could do something about this. So close to messing up? Yeah, for sure. But like, you know how much this costs. Nice enough. I mean, this costs money. The problem is like with the Kurapira, this like the 3 counters of Kurapira makes the remote push so much harder. So we've lost everything. We just don't have a scoring window against Knick-Knack. I do think we iced up archives. It's slightly different. You just have to spend some money doing that. But maybe we should trash a fly swatter. There's no mid-range code gates against Mesny. Oh, you have Mesny, you have MIC. At least this is most of the money. I think you just deal with the humanoid. I don't know if you have to deal with the Tucana. Okay, the problem is the server now costs 2 credits to run, so we'd never have a window. Server 2 credit. We just keep doing this? If he ever runs into the Stavka at a bad point. Mesny, Cheso, MIC. They're all the same, man. It's just the same ice. Need an extract? Yeah, I think extracting the Afron would be cool. If we res a Stavka, we could trash the Maskarovka to get the Afrun and then force the breaker trash, and that's probably going to buy us a window. It seems like Lost is running double breakers, but this is the last Kurapira. We probably have another last killer, but double Shibboleth. But yeah, trashing the problem is like then we'll have to end up playing a boomerang game, and that's still like hard to win. Oh, okay, that's good. Trash your twinning. You don't need it. Nice. All right, so we got a Stavka off. That seems really good. This is last click too, so we can opt something. So we want a Stavka to trash a fly swatter to get a humanoid, right? No, both humanoids are in the bin. We can fix that. We'll trash the Afron on HQ. No, what do we do here? Oh my god, this is hard. Can land a sub here? We can land all the subs. 2 gets the 5 strength, 6, 7. We have 5 credits. Oh, we land 1 sub, you're right, because it's all the money. Because to boost, it's 2, 4, 5. But we could actually fire both of them by spin doctoring. No, we can't trash the Afron and shuffle it back. So we land 1 sub, because it's 2 to boost, 1 to break. So we trash the Kurapira for sure. If we do that, what are we trashing? We could just trash a spin doctor. I think we're going to use, sorry, still thinking. Sorry, 1 sec. Yeah. So we trash the fly swatter, we can get a humanoid back. If we trash the Afron, we can get a humanoid back. The fly swatters matters because it means losing the Shibboleth means R&D is locked. But I think R&D is the server that we care the least about. I think we actually do it. So we'll trash a fly swatter to get a humanoid in the remote. That seems good. Spin back humanoid, trash Afron for humanoid, shoot the Kuru. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we do shuffle the Afron back. The problem is we can't do that order. Well, we can. So we have to get one of these back. Humanoid's going back for sure. And then I think we get a Maskarovka back because we just want like... Actually, we get envelopment back. Oh, we have 1 in hand because we just want end the run barriers. That's probably the play. Oh, we're bankrupt? Oh, we won't be. So then we'll res this. We'll make it 7 strength. We'll trash a card. I think we're going to lose to HQ. Because that's the server they can run. So I think we get rid of the fly swatter. This gets a humanoid in the remote. So we can recover as much as we have too many cards in hand. And humanoid gets the Mitra, which we can put on R&D or the remote. So now it's a 7 strength Stavka. So it's 4 to boost and then 5, 6 to break. So one of these goes down. You're still struggling on? Yeah, this is still a struggle for sure. So I'm assuming here we trash the Kurapira. He's going to get 7 credits. He also can just win. There's 2 agendas in 14. And we're going to flood up. Okay, we don't lose. He's on 7 credits. Lost his last fractor. He does have boomerangs though. I'm surprised you didn't grab Rego. Oh, Rego's not bad actually. Daniel, I think I like Rego better. We'd have to trash the Maskarovka though, which is one of the best cards on our board state. We could trash the Afshar too, but yeah, Rego is actually pretty reasonable. There's a chance we just extract this because I don't want to draw more cards. I don't know if we want to draw. I mean, we gotta let it rip. Mitra. Where do we put the Mitra? This now is free to run. So I think we put the Mitra in server 2 because we have to win. Okay, there are no agendas in R&D anymore. So install cards onto the table. Oh my god. We win next turn? I think you're right. I think we just jam SDS. No, we don't have money. Fire human to install SDS hollow and fire extract for cash. Oh yeah, we do have money. Yeah, this loses the pinhole. Extract. So we can trash the Stavka to get a 3-cost ice and put a barrier on R&D. But I think we just put a barrier on HQ and say there's no agendas in R&D. Yeah, I think we just get this on HQ. Oh, but we've already opt. Oh, shit. Hold on. Because we opt for the Mitra. I mean, that's fine. What did we do wrong there? Yeah, it's just for money. I mean, they can lose on HQ. We can see 2 on HQ. Like, that's the worst case, is they can still break this. I don't think that was the best line. Mitra's really good, because Mitra beats Boomerang, and Mitra resets the Stavka. So I actually don't mind this. I think the Mitra is necessary. The chances the Zato would be better. The fact that Zato is so good against Criminal, we haven't got a Zato, like, that's actually huge. We can Mitra into the server. Yeah, cool stuff. How's it going? From our hand or from the bin? Like, we can Mitra in envelopment if we need to. This play, we need, what is it? 8 credits? So we have 3 to burn. Yeah, we can't op again. So we're just going to have to hold on HQ. You drew one? Yeah, we drew one, so it's fine. So the red team R&D, they'll probably knick-knack it. But Zato would have been so sick in this matchup. There's no points in R&D. Are they deep diving us? Oh, they used the twinning on that? No, they just didn't boost. Okay, so we have to survive this. They're going to see 2 cards. I mean, we got this far. I feel like we could have maybe not jammed and iced up HQ. That would be better. Do you have a barrier in archives? Yeah, a bunch. By bunch, I mean a bunch, yeah. So maybe we should have Mitra'd HQ. I can't tell. We just have to... Very unlikely we survive this because they see 2 cards. Ah, oh, so close. Good game. We almost had it. We had to get the 1 and 4 there at the end. Yeah, that was really rough. We drew pretty rough. I do think there was a better line out there, but we win next turn if we don't lose there. Good game. At one point in the game, with 24 cards left in R&D, there was only 1 agenda in there. Yeah, I think this plays around Boomerang. Maybe we should have just put down the Holloman and it looks like a Zato, and maybe our opponent respects it. I just don't know what Lost My Thumbs is respecting or not. But yeah, we flooded up very bad that game. And we still had some cool lines. I have no doubt we did not play that perfectly. I think I'd rather have the Afron on the remote in the early game, because if the Afron landed, we could have got off the anthill, and that's so important in the early game. And like, Az definitely plays 3 Boomerangs is my guess. Still quite fun. Thanks for game, eh? Yeah, the knick-knack was better than it looked. I just don't know if it's worth 6 influence. I feel like you don't have to struggle to get econ in a criminal deck. But it's cool that there's always a window where it's like, oh, or like, it never feels like there's a scoring window, because they can always just like, oh, I'll sell something for 4 and get a card draw, which is nice. Yeah, Lost My Thumbs did really well at the last tournament, top place in criminal, which is like such a surprise to see that from Az much as there was a lot of Sable there. Yeah. I think if we could get a barrier on HQ, we were golden, but of course we opt for the Mitra. So maybe we shouldn't have opted for the Mitra and we should have got a barrier on HQ. I think agendas in hand were safer than spin doctoring. We just needed 1 more click compression. How the knick-knack take switches up? Yeah, but like that's important actually, right? Like that's, you know, not just logging in 1 opinion and then despite evidence being like, oh, I'm right. Right? Like that should be, honestly, that's good. But yeah, in this matchup, I experienced the knick-knack. We weren't able to ice up centrals, and just always having the bounce back on the knick-knack was like kind of cool. As much as like his money wasn't great, but it was just good enough. I think another Chesva would have been probably as impactful as the knick-knack. Good game, Mitra eats my Boomerang so hard. Yeah, did you have one in hand? I was convinced we'd get a barrier on server. We also had Zato, and Zato eats the Boomerang really, really well. But we couldn't get any of that to line up. This seems like a Smurf. Thanks, you too. Are they just going to flatline themselves? This seems like a Smurf that will flatline themselves. How is this hand? We have early ice, which is fine. I don't think Topon really runs on turn 1. But again, I've played against Topon 0 times. The Shadow Doshiko. So I think it's not awful. It's just like we really need to draw one of our remote assets. I guess we could use the F2 Kana. We'll try it. But I really want to open with a Cyber Sand or a Humanoid or a Rego. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to ice up HQ. I'm going to ice up the remote server. I'm going to click for a credit. No, I want to put something in the remote server. If they run it, it's fine. But I want to Fly Swatter, Mask Grove Crypt for the remote so that we can, so we'll spread these out. No matter what happens with this, if it's rezzed, we have options with Extract. Cool. Trash the Begamot? Are they? What's going on? Are they trying to flatline themselves? I think they're trying to flatline themselves. Yeah, they're trying to flatline themselves. Okay. Yeah, good game. And they're out. They didn't install the Begamot. They'd rather install the Audrey, and I think it's because they need to get other cards out of their hand. Oh, with Audrey, you can just get cards out of your hand. Right. So you just install Audrey, dump your hand, and then hit the Topon button. Cool. Let's go again. Inflating JNet stats for everyone. I came into you saying I had just enough money, and that's what happens every game, it seems. I had to do kickflips where keeping my money in drop. Yeah, it feels like you have to fight hard to stay afloat, but like you are staying afloat for what it's worth. Seems like some shit I would do. All right, Funba, sick. Assuming it's Cacophony. Hey, best of luck, have fun. We need to put ice on R&D. I'm not super stoked about Tree Line, but we don't have that much like annoying face check ice. What a weird thing to do. I mean, the cards give you the expression, the ability to express yourself. Sometimes your expression is, let's see if we can do this. Oh, cheers. That's very kind. That's very kind. This hand's not awful. And above the lot to hit in the Cacophony or like a early Nuka or an early environmental testing is really quite good. We definitely want to get an ice on R&D, so you're not just bleeding Punma value. So Tree Line could work, and we'll just put the Cyber Sand on the table. We'll leave an open HQ. A lot of the Punma decks actually play Burner, so getting a Spin Doctor on the table is like relevant not only against Burner but against Cataloger. From what my experience so far. So we'll just respect this, I think, and then we'll just jam 2 on the table. We'll see what Punma does. Double telework, super slow, but that's good money. So I think we have to Cyber Sand before we Spin Doctor in case we end up drawing into 2 copies of our Humanoid. So we'll get the Humanoid. We'll get a Tithe, new remote. And we won't Spin Doctor here. We'll probably go for a Mitra, and we'll just fire. We have an Extract 2. So hold on. If we want to extract something, we have to get a res now, but we're not going to extract the Spin Doctor. So we'll get the Mitra and the remote. That's fine. Sick. Really good. Really good start. So we do Antil on top of the Mitra and the Afrun. And I think that's just good enough. And then we can extract for like 3 credits. I wonder if you maybe you don't play the extract. I just think we need the money here. It's for what it's worth, not great. Oh, we should res the Spin Doctor first for more options, because you can't res the Spin Doctor here. Like we didn't draw into end the run ice, which is not common. So we could have res the Spin Doctor first just to have more options. It would have been strictly better, because I'd actually like to play a hedge fund. I can't rewind that. So we want to save the extract. I think that's something I noticed that Augie was doing, but we definitely should have read the Spin Doctor first so we can get a hard end the run. So we messed up. There's a chance with 1 extract or with 2 extracts, we can just tempo this extract. I will. I don't like that turn. I think we could have played that way better. We could have res the spin. So glad to be watching the Métropole Grid before America's Continentals is August 22nd and 24th of Montreal. The alterts, 2 alterts have come in so far that we've commissioned for Continentals. They are really good. I can't say the names yet or the cards, but we'll share them soon in the video. The one that I'm personally working on the commission from another Netrunner Goat artist won't be done. Yeah, it's a Cacophony. Unfortunately, before early bird tickets, but I'll tell you who the artist is before that comes up. All right, they lose all their value. You get nothing. Good day, sir. So put the Humanoid and Cyber Sand back. Sorry about that, friend. No charging here. And now we need to push out the above the lot to deal with the 8 influence bird. Yeah, super rude. Super rude for sure. All right, I think we don't deal with the Antil. I think we now extract the Antil to get a 2-coster. Then we just jam Kessleroid. We'll probably put Holloman, Tucana, and an ice. So we'll just get rid of this. I just want to push this out before the Cacophony gets bad. Not raising the spin was good. Yeah, it turned out it was actually pretty good there. So we'll go for the Tucana. We will jam Holloman above the law. No, we probably do Kessleroid above the law. I don't think we need a Holloman here. If it was in our deck, we would have grabbed it. Yeah, it felt right in the moment. I agree. Our centrals are open, so they might just run for Cacophony. That is something that we have to deal with. So maybe with Mitra and no breakers, they don't face check this. And so if that's the case, we'll do Tithe on HQ. This in the remote server. Hopefully the Mitra does enough. Like, Afron's still good, and then if they run back with the Afron, then you can swap it. I just don't want them to steal the first agenda, because Cacophony, once it gets the first stealer trash, that's when the rig starts, like, pushing forward. Unfortunately, we're going to shoot the bird. Which, chat, I'm so sorry. So we can go get something for the table. We can go get just a little Maskarovka for the remote server. That seems fine. We pay 1, and then we can jam next turn. Server 4. Worst card in hand. They're all pretty good, actually. They're all really good. It's probably the Kessleroid. Yeah. Don't hurt the bird. The bird's gone. We bolted the bird. Don't let Sir Pripyal that we bolted the bird. You need to get rid of this thing. Oh, it's here. So much for our tithe. Unfortunately, Orca, imagine a Stavka gets rezzed. You deal with Stavka for 6 credits. This actually could have been a Stavka. Just so we're on the same page. If this was a Stavka, we would have shot down the Orca also immediately. How does that keep happening? It's just you farm that sort of karma. But if this was a 7-string Stavka, yeah, you break for 6. We would have lost the Orca immediately. Oops. So now we'll push the SDS because this server is bulletproof. Oh my god. Besides the economy, this is feeling pretty good. I think we can get the spin on the table. I don't think we need to get the stop gun R&D. It's a good one. It's a good one. We need to play around, what's it called? Chromatophores a bit. Running HQ is going to be bad for us. They break this for 2. Stop gun R&D is really funny. I just don't think it's going to fire again. I think we might just click for credit. We score this for 8. Yeah, I'll just click for credit. Yeah, I'll just take a credit. I agree. I don't want to res a spin and draw more agendas. No, but we wouldn't do it. We'd do it on their turn, if anything. Hopefully they buy advance it again. Which has been good for us. But if we shoot the Orca again, I'm going to feel terrible about what this matchup is doing to us. I think this is like when I play the Padma Cacophony deck. If you play against, you know, fast stuff, damaging stuff, it is really hard. You have some really clumsy cards. Like the Artist is very slow. There goes our money. I wish we had a click left. So we'll SDS the Orca. So sorry. And then we'll go grab something. That's a big ouch. They have no breaker suite. This is animal abuse. It doesn't feel good. It really doesn't feel good. So the server's pretty good with Mitra. It's always a jerk. So what do we lose to? HQ pressure is like actually kind of bad. So I guess we'll get Afshar on HQ. We can score out next turn with 2 credits. We just push. That's the server we're weak to. We don't want to get Bernard here. Best top deck would be 1 of 29 extract, but next turn we just do credit, install the SEF. It's fine. Oh, if we had more money. Oh, actually, maybe this Afshar was wrong. No, it'd be on 3 credits. If we're on 4 credits, we could win this turn. We're actually 2 credits short. We could have been 1 credit short. The funny thing is if they get their Lobi Somu down, they can't break Afroin, and then they have to run back. But they do not have enough counters. I guess a Stone Chip they might. You automatically win since your opponent didn't go all together now. Fuck Wayland. I gotta reread that story. That does get me. How do you play against Big Deck Op? Played against one huge deck and it was exhausting. It depends what you're playing against, Damian. Like Mutually Assured Destruction, Big Deck Op, I couldn't tell you. I haven't seen that in the modern meta, so I'm not sure if that's real. If you play against a player who's just like sleeving up 150 cards because they can play a big deck, there's not a lot of good things you can say about what to do against it. Just like play value and hope for the best. Because nothing they're doing is consistent. But if you're playing like Mutually Assured Destruction combo op, I have astonishing little experience against it. I do think you want disruption and you want survival, which is you know, if your deck has it, that's really good. Cards like Maw were really good in the format. We don't have that anymore. But basically, you just want to make sure they can't get the combo off. It's a very nuanced discussion, and I don't think I'm capable of giving it. You don't just res their ice? Yeah, but then they res their upgrades. Like, I don't think it's foolproof. Right? They have enough upgrades that not running does not win. Yeah, good game. That's what I mean. This deck, this was a turn, while we did a lot of animal crimes for better or worse, this was turn 8. Like, that's fast. It does do some cool stuff. Good game. Yeah, sorry about... Where are Sparks? Oh, cool. Oh, super cool. So they're on Spark. I know when we played a deck like this, we weren't on Spark because we liked a lot of programs for our value engine, but they're just on full Spark. Oh, full whiff, huh? Drawing Twin cards should put me online. I did not. Beans. I should have realized you were on Spark there. Lobby and Orca, I guess. How many people are playing 100+ card ops? Not a lot, but on Jane and Casual, you run into big decks every once in a while. But like big op was something to be tested into this meta. I don't think it lost everything to the point that's unplayable. It was a good deck in the last meta. Oh, super cool. Oh, so they're on red team. Cool. I think a deck like this, I'm imagining it's a bit slow. So I don't know if you want to be an artist because it also is very slow. We didn't see rigging ups, but I guess in theory, if you're playing Spark, you don't need rigging up. That's usually how it goes. Thanks to gaming. But yeah, we just like pushed in the remote. Environmental with only Lobby Orca. Yeah, I'm assuming they want to charge it. This is the thing that you have to watch out when you build Pudma decks is like you generally play so many charge cards and then you have this like idea that in the late game, and they mentioned it was pretty greedy. Like, oh, I'll use my Orca to charge my environmental testing and then I'll gain 9 credits and I'll break ice for free. At the end of the day is like you have so many charge things that it's hard to make charge sustainable when everything needs it. So if they're just on Spark with environmental, yeah, it's going to be hard. They're going to plan to charge this, and that's very hard. It's probably like 2 or 3 engines too many. But I do think with the Pudma list where you just like play Lobby Orca as breakers is like not a bad idea. It's all the greatest hits, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately there's a lot of slow engines. But like if you're not playing against competitive standard, that might be a fun thing to bring to casuals. Like I want to be very clear, we're playing a very good deck right now. So if that Pudma deck looked slow, it probably is, but it's slow compared to what we're doing today. Turn 8 is fast even for last format? Yeah. Hey, so Nairo. It's Hosh. Our hand is pretty good into Hosh. Zato hasn't shown up that much. Let's go. Best of luck, have fun. I believe this is former teen, right? Am I not wrong about that? So Hosh runs centrals. We have an early Regolith, which is good. I don't know if we want to put it behind an envelopment. That's expensive, but we need to ice up centrals because Hoshika always runs. I think this hand is totally fine. I have no promises. That hurts me to say that, but yeah, you do see the screen flicker there, don't you? Yeah, you do. Sick hedge fund. Yeah, this is former teen. Okay, this is Josh. Josh is great. Josh is organizing Mega Cities, I believe, with some other folks in Toronto. Great tournament organizer. So we have envelopment, Regolith, which is totally fine and slow and fine. We can do that eventually. Tile on HQ is like okay. So we probably play the hedge fund before we're planning to res the envelopment. So I think here we probably can do hedge fund, draw tithe. And ideally we get a better ice for HQ, like an end the run. Yeah, that's great. Couldn't ask for better. This deck's also not on Winchester, which is interesting. Winchester hasn't felt awful, but it's a bit expensive. And the early turn where they like, you know, send raindrops, it feels kind of bad. Like this feels kind of bad. So we can either let the access through, which is a relatively high value access. It makes Hoshiko now flip. Otherwise we can trade 2 card draw for 2 credits. I think I'm going to take it. If this was a 1 Subroutine Ice, we'd fired it. If it was a Maskarovka, we'd fired it. If it's a Winchester, you obviously don't res it. Andre attempts to humiliate and crush a teenage girl live on stream. I mean, like, she's trying to crush me. It's dog eat dog out here. Or wolf eat missile. My game against obs are either 8 turns or 15 turns. Nothing in the middle. Oh, no way. Double companion sending it. So if we steal here, we're like really gassed up. We get the Hosh flip as well. Sick. Okay, Stop got the top. Not a great R&D ice. We could do Tithe, Envelopment, Regolith, but we're kind of cashing a check we can't really afford. Still probably the play. There's a chance that Hosh will take a turn off here. We could above the law the companions, but I don't know if we want to. Having 3 costers res is valuable for other reasons. Yeah, it's also good just to have your ice res. It's very true. Sometimes against, like, if they even imagine they Esther brought your ice, sometimes it's worth resing it just because Op wants resed cards. It's a good thing to keep in mind. So we do Tithe Envelopment. Yeah, we'll just push it. If we res Envelopment, we can't res this, but we'll click for credit maybe. Is there any ice you might swap into the deck? Would something like Microweb be good to replace Cycle Trash Dice? No, Microweb cost 8 credits. It's really expensive, right? Like a lot of board states, we don't have 8 credits. I think if you're considering anything like, I don't even know what you consider. Like, I don't think you want to spend influence, and the Wayland Ice, like the Ice Suite's just not big, but like Microweb is almost never something I want. It cost $8. It's bad in the early game. It doesn't work with Op. It gets cards on the table, but like, I think I'd sooner spend influence for Drafter. But I'm not a Microweb believer. Ah, boo. This also is res, which is good for us. We have to get it faster than a twinning. We'll see if he charges this. If you think it's a Masquerade, because it's pretty bad, but we have to res this. Don't get hushed. So we have to like credit Regolith, I guess. So I saw something like Microweb to opt down to Pharaohs. Sick. Oh, that was on top. So he knows we have this in hand. So I guess we get some money. Next turn, if we empty this, we still get an op trigger, which is nice. Any turn that you just Regolith, like you're not building board state, which is not bad for the runner, as much as money is obviously good. We'll see if this is the turn to take Hoshiko flip back. I think it's very likely to be. Maiko is just a card that you draw in your opening hand and you're like, what am I doing? I don't know. I think it's going to show up in 1 or 2 decks at some point and be reasonable. It's just like, it's clumsy. There's the Banhar. Okay, so Envelopment Banhar is still reasonable. We could Zato that as well. So we could trash this and get like a Tithe in front of here. I do think HQ is where the pressure is going to be, but the SDS is safe. So we could Regolith for the 1-cost ice. Otherwise, we can Regolith for the 1-cost assembly. Sorry, what's it called? Humanoid. That's reasonable too. We could Spin Doctor for options first. He knows we have the SDS in hand. Banhar into Tithe is fine. Banhar to Afshar is not the worst. So Regolith for a 1-coster, again, just gets a Tithe here, so you have to break the Afshar. I think that's okay. The problem is like our envelopment is ticking down. So Zato behind the envelopment is really good. The problem is like it doesn't have an end to run subroutine, so you just fire the trash this ice subroutine, but you do get a, if we don't draw the 1 tree line, it's fine. Yeah, I'll just take the money. So 1-costers is Tithe or Humanoid. Humanoid will get trashed for 3 net damage probably. And I just want to make sure HQ is safe. We haven't seen influence. And there's like, it's not super surprising if a Nairo plays transfer. I think transfer Hoshiko feels right in the Nairo's hands. Very fair about the cost. It just seemed interesting to bring back ice trash by Op, but yeah, I can see it's expensive. The thing is like Mitra does that, right? Braun does that. And I think both of those are maybe more flexible cards. But trash dice is like not the worst thing. Sometimes you want it. I guess you're playing Mitra, but like Drafter does it. I don't know. There's something cool about Braun. There's like a bunch of decks where Braun subroutine is like super relevant, like Atea, Old Ag Infusion, just because installing cards was kind of hype. Okay, Leech, we can run Archives at a minimum. There, it's good value. It's like credit a card in the Leech counter. We need to make use of this remote server very quickly. Rising Tide, okay. 16 credits, just going. So either we can extract this to get ob value. So if we extract this, we get a 4-coster, we put Stavka, we jam above the law. I think that's the best we have. Oh, that doesn't win. Oh, no, it does win. That's fine. Let's go. We get blown out by a couple things, but we can give it a shot at least. So new remote, we do new remote, we do new remote. We could just do the Zato as well. But if Stavka gets hit by the Banhar, that's fine. Oh, wait, no, this is terrible. Why did we do this? Wait. Oh, I did the whole turn wrong. Fuck. Yeah, we did that in the other option or other order. I messed that up really bad. This was a terrible play. This loses to like board state. Like it doesn't lose to tricks. It loses to what a Nairo has. How's it going, Ba? Yeah, this was so wrong. I thought we would like get the Zato down, but like you just run this. The best thing was we can Stavka for the tree line, but like, or Stavka to Tithe for a Spin Doctor, but this is awful. This is just not the play. That was the worst turn I think we've done because it's just wrong. Banhar's on server 2. Yeah, that's bad. Okay, so we're playing around in envelopment. Yeah, we cooked this. This is so bad. So what can we do? How can we recover from this? We can Stavka the Tithe on R&D to go get a Spin Doctor. You can save this. Yeah, we can't save the score, but we can protect the agenda at a minimum. So if we res the Stavka, it doesn't matter. You're Stavka trashing the Afshar? I don't think we are. Why? I think we're doing the Tithe to get a Spinny. Why would we do anything else? You get the weird ice and call Rising Tide? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that does work, actually. That's weird. So we can Afrun for Rising Tide. So we can Stavka the Afshar to get Afrun. Afrun calls Rising Tide. Rising Tide can't break the tree line. Yeah, that's a cool line, actually. That's cool. I'm into that. I would have just protected this, but this seems cool. Lamau. It might have been right to keep this Atto. So Rising Tide can't be used on this run. This will still be 2 net damage. Anira knows there's an SDS in hand if they're tracking, so he can always just run HQ. This will be 2 net or a net and a Botulus, and then you bounce. I'm glad Stavka says your other installed cards. Sometimes it might be right to res the Stavka to trash the Stavka. Hit a transfer. I called it. I was so sure. That's the one hit Aniro didn't want here. But I was like, there's no shot Aniro's not playing transfer Hoshiko. That is so funny. So you jack out here because you don't want to give us a credit. We won't know the SDS is in HQ. Yeah. That is just so good. I played enough games against Josh to kind of get a read on what he plays. How's the deck treating you? Really fun. I was considering sleeping this for a meetup tonight. Want to play Rush Up? I would 100% play this. It is so fun. Okay, sick recovery. Good shout out, Ba. So we can just score this out. We also could consider extracting the Afron to get a Holoman, and then we could Holoman above the law with a click left. Is that better? Because then we can jam the SDS. That might be better, honestly. Any quick tips or edits? No edits. Tips. Watch the replays that Augie uploaded. This is the best thing I did, is watch the replays. They're really good. It shows the sort of like way the play lines. Because this is a play line I got from Augie. Oh, Afron's a 2-coster. Yeah, you're right. So we can't. Shit. I thought it was 3. It would be really good if we could do it. We can't. We have no 3-costers. So we just score the above the law trash Banhar. Yeah, I thought this was 3. It's not. We could trash the Stavka to get another ice. But all our 3-costers are... Oh, we have the Afshar, but it's in the bin. I think we just score this. Knows the SDS is in hand. Not my favorite. If we had a 3-coster there, we'd be gaming. But we did mess up the last turn pretty bad. There's no urgency to extract. It would be cool if we get Holoman, trash, and then jam the SDS. Like, if we could get Holoman here, we would. Because if our remote server was Stavka tree line, and we have an SDS on top of a Holoman, we're really happy. The problem is we can... Like, if this was 3-coster, I think it was the right play. Sam. Hi, Sam. I thought you were saying send a message. Oh, no, it's Hantu. Sick. This doesn't break 7-strength Stavka. It has a problem. With Leech, it does. So we're going to need to set up something a bit more convoluted. But Hantu breaks Stavka for free if he has another transfer. That's fine. Clear the tag. It's fine. Oh, you used counters for breaking? Oh my god, I'll never remember this. Don't hit the Stavka. Don't hit the Spin Doctor. Hit the Extract. Thank you. You're the best. So we've seen 2 transfers. I'm assuming this deck will play Katurga to bring these back. So this remote server we can deal with relatively easily, right? This breaks for 1, this breaks for like 2, this breaks for 2. And Aniro has 23 credits. Yeah, Hantu just breaks 1 for 1. So we need to boost the strength, which means we have to purge. Purging here is not unreasonable. Purging Hantu feels good. Counters for strength? Yeah, I'll figure it out one day. Still tagged? Yeah, still tagged. I don't think we're going to do much about it. I don't think we put this in remote server. I think we draw. Or do we extract? Extract the Afrun gets us a 1-coster, so we could get a thing in the remote server, a builders, which I think Anira has to run. That would be, this is for free, this is for free, functionally, 1 credit. play end of line? I mean, I wish. I don't think we have to extract here. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's bad. It got bad. So do we extract this tithe for another spin doctor? Zato would be the best card, but we threw it out. We can extract the Stavka for a Zato. There's like something to that. That was not a good draw. I guess we draw here or we can extract. My brain is getting mushy. Oh God. Make it stop. Please send help. I think we have to extract for another spin doctor here, but then we don't get all the recursion. Stavka for Afshar jams F. I think our one Afshar is in the bin. You're right, we could push it on the remote server. Maybe it's not the worst. When having no 3-cost res kind of stinks. We could have done that before jamming. Yeah, we could have extracted the Stavka for an Afshar and saying on 3 cards you don't have it. This is what happened against me. It felt less bad because we did it kind of like gradually. We didn't draw 3 in a turn. Okay, fine. Boomy's good in the matchup. Boomy's good for the remote. That sucked. At least Anairo thinks that we cleared the hand, but that turn was so slow. There's no way that we didn't draw like a total donkey. The problem now is that we can't get the Afshar back because our spin doctor's spoken for. Yeah, Katurga archives. And no doubt this is just going to be transfer spam. We probably should put these back and then we'll get transferred again. We're just going to float tags. You see? That was an SDS. Technically was. Just wasn't that one. Yeah, I wanted to play this sort of like Katurga transfer spam. Yeah. It's going to be hard to get out of. And if tags don't matter, this is just going to be free real estate. We can't really make HQ that good. I guess the best we could do is get the Afshar back. Oh, this is fine. Yeah, this is going to be, we're probably going to take 6 siphons this game. Maybe more if we Ashen. Clear to tag. Whoa. Whoa. That's not what I was expecting. Okay, so we can Stavka for Zato. That gives us money, which we need. Zato's good with Stavka, though. So we just need a 3-cost ice. Boomy on the remote server is very expensive, but we could do hedge fund Boomy the server. The problem is that just loses the board. Thinking. Like, our money's good enough that we're not really sweating the transfer. The problem is we have agendas in hand. So Boomy up here, we'll trash this botchless. The problem is the botchless isn't doing much. So we could just Stavka this for a Zato. We have a res Zato. You have to run the server 3 times. We can get a code gate by trashing the Boomy. I'm going to try it. This loses a couple things, but there's probably not pinhole influence in the deck. But now Boomy can become something. Is Afshar the only useful gear check? In terms of 3-cost code gates, yeah. But we have a lot of 2-cost code gates, and purging the Leech and the Hantu is relatively relevant. It actually might have been right to distract the Saffron, but we're going to throw this Saffron out with the Zato. So here we can get a 3-coster, and we can get a 1-coster. I guess we'll get a 2-coster with the Boomy. So you have to run the server 4 times and find a decoder. Zato is cool. It will destroy our server, but like, it's cool while it happens. But yeah, Nairo needs a way to deal with the code gates. Boomy Zato seems nice. Yeah, we also could just Boomy Zato for the Rising Tide. Actually, probably is a bit smoother. And we get the decoder and we purge. Yeah, no stress. Yeah, because we do the trash program subroutine. We trash the Rising Tide. There's definitely going to be more. And then we get decoder gate. That's actually pretty slick. I don't know what we do if we score the Azyaf here. Like, we don't have a great Azyaf target. In theory, if we Azyaf, we can trash the Boomy to get a Tucana if the Boomy's rezzed. But the Boomy Zato is like pretty slick. I do think Augie was talking about you can put a Trebuchet in the slot as well. Or not a Trebuchet, excuse me, a Ballista. Boomy's a fun include. Yeah, really cool. It's going to fire now, Pat. So this trashes the Trojan. It doesn't give you a choice, which is like alarming. I wish it warned you about that. Oh, no, there was no Trojan. Never mind. So it probably does. So we'll trash this to get a 2-coster from the deck. So this purges. So we'll put this on server 2. And we'll trash the Rising Tide. Just a messed up face check. Like, that is sick. That is so cool. Boomy's become my 1x 3 cost a century. Yeah, it's really cool. The sentence around, whatever. Yeah, that's really sick. I don't think an Ira is expecting that. Now, it doesn't matter for the context of centrals, but like the transfer of wealth isn't that great here. Still wait to see Ob with at least 2x Mavirus. I kind of feel like one Mavirus would do a lot in this deck. Yeah, this is fine, unless you steal the SDS. But like, we don't need credits. Is Boomy 1 influence? Yeah. Very, very splashable 1 influence. And it's all of its text is good. Besides the core damage. Nice. We'll see if he clears the tag again. Okay, so if we score this out, what are we trashing? We can trash a tree line to get a Maskarovka. Trashing the half run gets a 1-coster. The problem is the SEF is not, it's still on the table when you pay the cost to trash it. So it's not like we can get the humanoid in server 2. So the only thing we can do is trash the tree line to get a barrier somewhere. I think we just do that. We get a Fractor out of our deck. We get a Maskarovka on server 2. It's free. And then we push next turn, install advance. Tucana though? We have no 3-coster to get a Tucana, unless we trash the Zato, but the Zato is like so good for us. I don't think we get the Tucana. You're right, we could trash the Zato to get the Tucana and then that fires, but I don't think we want to trash the Zato. Because I don't think Anira's on pinhole when Anira's on like transfer of wealth. We've seen 2 transfer in the bin. So I'll just trash the tree line and get a mask. Yeah, again, you can't get anything else. Oh, Sandstone's also not awful. Sandstone might be a bit better. Yeah, we'll try Sandstone. Hit a strike fund sucks, but we hit a transfer. So we've done 2 transfer damages. That's kind of awesome. Got 2 of those out. I've hit 2 so far. Yeah, we've hit 2 transfers, so that's 12 influence. So it's probably 12 influence and then like Ashen buffer drive maybe. It's good that we can bounce back. Even if a transfer goes through, we can extract. And we probably just install advanced events to the SDS and don't care. This is Barrier, Code Gate, and Zato. Zato, we can get a Maskarovka. So we could just lose 20 credits and breakers. I've been asking many people, Slap Vandal Rio, Jank are worth consideration. I think it's neat. I think it's a cool idea. It allows you to get through 1 subroutine stuff. The problem is like, it's hard to play neither with Banhar because it's a card in your hand that's a bit situational. And so like, you need to pre-install it. But I think it's kind of cool. I think Slap Vandal is like, what, 2 influence maybe? We'll see how many subs you fire. You definitely can fire subs here if you want card draw. Yeah, it's 2. Yeah, it seems okay. So we get a credit. Oh, sorry. It didn't fire. I should get a credit, right? Yeah, rerun? Yeah, we messed that up. It's hard to fix. We'll just rerun it. Abby. Yeah, I usually don't hit pass movement, but it's very likely on the raindrops that you fire 1 subroutine there. We actually like the credit. It's not a huge difference, but it gives a raindrops counter. So we get to see single here. Trash an Antil. Fine. We didn't want to draw that. Ooh. If we can't hedge fund, we can do SDS double advance. And so what does an Iro need? Josh has 5 cards in hand, infinite money. So if you install a Fractor, install the Code Gate Breaker, or what's it called? A flip. The thing is we can Zato for a 2-coster, which would be another Fractor. We can Zato for a 1-coster, which doesn't do anything, but we can Zato for the agenda into the bin, worst case. So an Iro can have everything in hand, but if you install both breakers, you can't run this 3 times. Wait, this is just free, right? Can we extract the sand for hollow, SDS, and jam? We could, but this also just works. This loses to transfer. If it is, what's it called to transfer? No matter what, it loses to transfer. But yeah, this interrupts us if it's transfer from a Katurga. That's the only bad thing here. This transfer is really rough. I don't even believe you. I know it off the books when I see one. Sick. I'm down for that. Yeah, but it's really hard. You need to deal with the Zato here. So like the fireworks, pinhole works, but influence is really constrained. But you even have to do pinhole, install breaker, run. So it has to be perfect. Yeah, take your time. Yeah, if we extract, we have more credits, but then if we need the Holloman, and the Holloman just loses to pinhole, so it's a potential. Extract gives us +6 and a free Holloman, but then we need 6 to score, so it's like kind of similar. But we want 3 ice on the server, because the amount of ice with Zato is super relevant. Hannah? Okay, that's not bad. Did he have a tag? I guess he had a tag. 20? Okay, we're fine. No, it's Katurga. Okay, crap. So we have to hold on one more turn. So Katurga will be for transfer. GG? No. Transfer puts us on 1. So we can't. Sees 2. Off the books 2. Pretty good. Problem is we can't just purge. This is where if you had him a virus, it'd be pretty good. Funny enough, just getting a Masquerovka on HQ might have been the play. Like maybe we had a play where we could extract, get a barrier on HQ so we don't lose a transfer. But it has to be Katurga. Yeah, this sucks. Just having a tithe is not good enough against this. So there's no top deck that gets us out. So now we just has 1 more turn. You still need to do double breaker, run this 4 times. So I think we're okay. We have to probably extract the tithe. I think we just do credit extract, and that means that we can't get pushed out. Clear tag is great. Yeah, we're in the same situation. We just have to survive another turn. It seems pretty fine. Paladin, she's hungry. Feed her the Hantu. She requires souls. Give her souls. Holy fuck. Wait, that fermenter had 4 charges on it. Oh my god. Okay. Is Mitra on tap? Yeah, Mitra is on tap. It doesn't do anything? No, we have a Stavka in the bin. Mitra on tap is incredible. Holy crap, is that good? Yeah, I know money's not a problem. It's just you don't see that. So now Mitra gets a Stavka on the Sandstone, and the Stavka just blows up everything. So like we lose the Centrals or we don't. And also Mitra gives us +3 credits. So like even if you deny us, you can't run the remote server. I forgot, Mitra's so good. It's just such a good card. It does so much. It's so hard to play around. I know I said this before, but adding 1 card to the card pool, can you Mitra a piece of ice back and then Zato it? No. I don't think so. Zato is on encounter. Mitra is on approach. Yeah, Zato is when the runner encounters. Mitra is when the runner approaches. Wait, you can? Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. In that order, yes. 100%. That's what I meant. Like, can you grab me the boomy? Yeah, that works. Sorry. The other way doesn't work. Yeah. So you can do that. So you can Mitra the ice and then Zato it. You can Zato the ice and then Mitra, but obviously that doesn't make sense. Yeah, for sure. But that is a hard server to crack. Anytime there is like a world question, I always like should slow down and just like make sure I understand the question, because I answer too fast and like disseminating incorrect information is like the worst thing you can do, let alone to your opponent who's trying to like figure out your board state. Yeah, but it's super nasty. We can Mitra back the thing that deals with Trojans. We can Mitra back a program trash subroutine. We can Mitra back the Stavka and fire the Stavka. Not that we don't have Zato issues, but the server is really hard to deal with. So you have to land 3 transfers, which in 4 clicks is difficult. So your best case scenario here is winning off of twinning. The thing is you can only see 2 cards on R&D, hope for trashables. We could still lose off of R&D. There's still a lot of points in there. Like there's 11 points and 21. And Op does lose off of R&D. The more you fire Op, the more that there are agendas in R&D. Or the fewer there are non-agendas, more accurately. This is kind of sick. I know, it's kind of good. It's kind of really cool. This deck kind of slaps. Like challenging the 3 Mavirus is like a line that I think is really hard to challenge, but I'm glad Augie was cooking here. Augie's also talking about playing less spin doctors, and that is such an Augustus take, because Augie classically plays like 2 spins or 1 spin or no spins in like PD lists and old metas. And like maybe there's something to it. Spin's also still very good, but with Op you can get with some consistency. I've been loving Mitra. I want to build the like gross Mitra deck, but like this card does so much. I think that's it, sadly. I mean, run R&D. You don't think it's you don't think it's an off the books? Yeah, no stress. Of course. Hey, Jackmade. I don't know if you saw Augie's list from the weekend. It is so cool. How you doing? A big spin cutter, but Ob, you get so much value from recycling your one-ofs. Yeah, the recursion is super important in Ob. Okay, we're firing Steel Skin. So worst case is Finality, I guess. Finality we could lose. I think you could cut the Humanoid to get some influence back. I think the Humanoid's really good. Whether you could cut one, maybe. But Humanoid is like very good. Like, I think all the best versions of this deck are the best games Humanoid fires. We haven't been finding it consistently. So I kind of get it. No steel, no trash. This looks like a Cyber Sand trash. Oh, it's a Humanoid trash. Okay. Board state looks so different from what I usually have. It is still scoring up, which is kind of cool. But yeah, server's really rude. It's a really rude Mitra Zato server. The Zato's really good. Yeah, that's game. Sick. Very cool. I'm cool to see Mitra making it to 1 deck. I mean, look, everything I said about Mitra, I still stand by. The card's cursed, but it's definitely going to find places in decks. I think if Jinteki Glacier also sees play, this card sees it. Hey, good game. Hey, GG. Hey, no joke. Like, turn 2, I said on stream, there's no shot that you're not playing Transfer Mushiko, which was hilarious to be right about. Yeah. That is a very Nairo game. That was 12 turns. That was sick. That was a really good game. That was very, very fun. Good game. Very fun. Thanks again. I have a brand. I can accept that. Yeah, no, it's good to have a brand. Have I made sure to reset the number of counters on development yet? Oh my god, no, we haven't. Development has only shown up once, though. Yo, Jad, how you doing? Congratulations on your play at the weekend. I think your Alco deck is really cool. I do think more ice makes a lot of sense. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, Light the Fire is really good in this list. It does just straight up beat us. Like, a transfer didn't affect you? No, we had really good economy, and we had really good liquidity, and our ice is pretty cheap. But, like, transfer gets out 6 credits, build a board state. That's hard to slow down. But it did stop us on a turn, and it caused us to, like, have to draw good. If we didn't draw good, we're bad. We also flooded up that game. Like, there was one turn we drew 7 points in a single turn, and we still, like, figured it out. I do think we botched it. Like, I want to be very clear. Our push in the remote server in the first game week, we recovered it with the cool half-run line that Ba saw. It was not my idea. And, like, that was kind of sick. So, it was a possibility. Light the Fire doesn't beat Staffron? No, but it beats Zato, it beats Mitra. So that's the best you have. So you can still set up here. Like, we could do Stavka. What you can do, well, you can also do really weird things where, like, in theory, if you fire Stavka, you can install a piece of ice with Op, and with Op, you can trash the Afrun, and then later on in the run, you can Mitra the Afrun back, or like some combination thereof. Because when you install with Op, it ignores all costs, but that does not mean you can't trash the trash cards, right? When I first saw him, I knew it would be good in Op. Mitra? Yeah. Yeah, very cool. If you search for spin, then the extract can't fetch you anything. If you search for spin, what do you mean, Ryan? Simply install the ice where you want it. SMH my head. All right, we've been streaming for about 3.5 hours. I think that's gonna be it for today. My stomach's been really bad still, so I just need like constantly eat small meals, which is not great for streaming. So thanks so much for hanging out. Folks are just showing up late. Thanks so much for dropping in. But there's a VOD to watch at a minimum, that's for sure. Yeah, Mitra for sure. Yeah, you can for sure trash on install. Yeah, and you can get something back, which is pretty cool. Want to shout out all these names here and more that are supporting the Métropole Grid. We are on Patreon, which is a huge reason why we can do stuff like this, take off Tuesdays, Thursdays, stream like that, commentate on weekends, all this sort of stuff. This makes it possible. If you want to support the channel, you can find a link in the description below. If you also just want to support by like putting a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, sharing it with a friend, all that sort of stuff costs no money and it's super appreciated. It helps a heck of a lot. We'll be back on Thursday. I don't think Pat's joining us. We'll probably see Pat back in July. But we'll have a stream. I'm very excited to play the Iswak deck. Otherwise, this weekend, there's a lot of organized play. There's the APAC online mega cities. There is the Eternal, take it to Cologne. What's it called? The EMEA fundraising event, if you want to play some Eternal on Sunday, which is good. Other events locally, I don't think there's too much to shout out. There's probably G&Ks and stuff. I'll get you an update on Continentals, but we had 2 of the alt arts come back, and I'm really excited to talk about what they are because they're fantastic. The 3rd one's being worked on. So if you want to come into Montreal at the end of August, please start planning now. It is just in a fantastic city, and it's going to be the biggest Netrunner event in North America. So it'll be an absolute treat. Oh, Vancouver's this weekend, of course. Come to Vancouver. We have art by an artist from Celeste, and the other artist is Jesse, right? If I'm not mistaken, from Terminal 7, if you played back in the day from Clay. Or formerly from Clay. Some really good alt arts out there if you're on the West Coast, so drop by for that. Thanks for the stream. Hope you feel better soon. Hang in there until Specialist. I left my like. Thank you, Cody. Yeah, that'll be next week. So we're holding on to next week where I get to go see a doctor because it's otherwise just been kind of miserable. And we'll get through it. It could be worse for sure. With that, thanks so much for hanging out. Watch the VODs. Mind you, I'll put all the links to stuff, but Nelson Games did a whole weekend worth of streaming. Shout out to Juniper and the gang there. And then, of course, on Saturday and Sunday, we also were streaming. London was running the stream on Steel City Grid. So there's a lot of OP you can watch in-person Netrunner. And with that, we'll be back on Thursday. Take care, y'all. See you in a bit.